Good morning, lovely ladies and gents, babes and babettes, as I like to say. We are here on the final day of the Uprising Major in lovely Adelaide, South Australia. My name is Adam Camilleri. I'm joined once again by my co-host, Mr. Nick Standing. Good morning, my man. Game 7 and Game 8 about to be taking place. How are you holding up after this absolute marathon?
Mate, I'm still excited. I'm excited as ever, just as I have been all weekend. And I'm getting more excited as we come down to the crunch time, mate. Yes, thank you for having me, and hello to everyone in the chat there.
Yeah, please give us a shout out in the chat. Who are you rooting for? Who do you expect to win? And what are you hoping to see on these final tables? As it is an 8-round event, the final couple of rounds get a little bit messy when a lot of the guys in the top 10 have already played each other. So a lot of people play down, some people play up, and it really kind of becomes a challenge of who's going to be able to break in and keep their spot in the top 10. Right now, we have our first seed player, our number one player, the only undefeated player in this event, Mr. Matt Morrisoli, playing off against the third-placed Gabe Dello. So that is Jakari versus Chaos. That'll be on one of our tables today for your viewing experience. What's the next one we've got there?
So next up, we have Liam Hackett, who is coming in second, and he is up against Shane Condy with his Tyranids. Exciting times here. People have been following along. People love seeing a bit of Tyranids, and we are glad to see it on the top tables.
3-turn game. That one way or another, 3 turns, it's cooked, it's done. And finally, we have Brian Lakeland in our 5th spot playing Benjamin Regret, or Mr. Benny Regretti, as I like to call him, playing a really interesting mixed Imperium smashy list we'll run over in short order. Going to switch us over, transition to our 4-table view, just so we can get an idea of what the players are up to. Some players naturally do deployment a lot quicker than others. Some start their first turn a lot quicker than others. Really interested to see where we go here. So this mission is number 21. I'm not sure if you've got a couple of minutes. You can look that up for us, Mr. Standing.
Do that, mate.
In the meantime, people at home, people watching, give us some shout-outs. I want to know who we've got. Mr. Sam Dutney, the sweet troll 2 drones of Adam and Nick, and Stephen Hayes, 40K is the winner. Absolutely right. The 40K community and 40K as a whole is definitely a winner. In the top right of our screen on these 4 tables, you can see we have what looks to be the Imperium versus Harlequin game. And then below that, diagonally, we have the no-chill game of Mr. Liam Hackett versus the Tyranids, Mr. Condy. And then to the left of that, we have the top table game of Mr. Matt Morrisoli versus Mr. Dello. What have you got for there, brothers? What have you got for us there, brother?
All right, so we are looking at mission 21.
Correct, my man.
Is that what you said it was? Mission 21? Yeah, that is Surround and Destroy. So that is hold 1 more. It is a regular hold 1. To get your 5 points, we're looking at a 6 objective mission. Dawn War deployment there.
What's the secondary? What's the secondary for this one, if you're able to check it for us?
The secondary for that is surround them. So score 4 victory points at the end of your command phase and at the end of the battle if you control both the objective markers in your deployment zone and 1 or more objective markers in your opponent's deployment zone. Score 8 VPs instead if you control all 4 objective markers that are in the deployment zone. So as we can see on the bottom left-hand table, we have 2 markers in the middle and 2 sort of spread out in each deployment zone.
Yeah, one in kind of towards the corner of each deployment zone. Interesting to see that Matt's deployed at the top in that top table game with Mr. Dello at the bottom, and it does look like Matt has gone first in that one. I can tell you right now, of the 9 games Matt has played across this event so far, he has gone first 9 out of 9 times. And he's undefeated. So maybe we're overestimating the power of going second, but he is a bit of a freak show when it comes to playing 40K. He's definitely one of the best players, I think, in the world. So maybe it's not as big a deal for those sitting upon lofty heights atop the mountain, but us lowly plebs, going second seems to be the best option.
Yeah, definitely. I think his preference would be to go second as well. Am I correct in saying that there, Adam?
Yeah, I think he would have wanted to go second, especially in this mission. 6 objectives, hold 1, hold 2, hold more. We might jump into that one because we've got a bit going on there. So I'll hit the transition and just make sure we've got the right score sheet up for each game. But as we jump in, please feel free to reel off those secondaries if they've been kind enough to upload them. I have gone past and given them all a bit of a poke, being like, make sure you put your secondaries in, update it, please. We do require those for the continual, good production of this content. And they've been lovely enough to acquiesce to that request. Whether they maintain the upkeep on that remains to be seen. As we can see, though, Matt has gone first, and he is having a pretty aggressive turn 1. But what are those secondaries you're seeing, brother?
Yeah, so secondary-wise there, Matt Morrisoli, who we can see has deployed on the top of our screen. He has gone with grind them down. He has gone with engage on all fronts and bring it down. Gabe Dello, who is playing the Jukari, is on the bottom of our screen. And did you want to run us through his secondaries, Adam?
Yeah, he's got engage on all fronts. While we stand, we fight and deploy scramblers. That is a 3 he has taken every single game that I've seen so far. So he hasn't taken any others. He's literally playing the same mission every mission. I think Matt might have been well aware of what he was going to take, simply because Gabe hasn't taken anything different in the last 2 games. And I know Matt was watching back some of our streams, just having a little quizzical check on what he does and how he plays. And so the 3, while we stands, are his 3 Reapers, which you can see are all bunkered down in the bottom right-hand side of his deployment. I'm assuming they were the last things that went down, and he knew that that was the furthest away they were going to be from keepers. Because naturally, if they're on the bottom left-hand side, they'd be getting nommed on in short order. As you can see with this deployment...
We'll also be participating in the block party that we've been carrying on about all weekend too, Adam.
Yes, we've had a bit of a reshuffle of the terrain as well. That was at the request of you guys, the viewers, and of course of the players as well. Because actually, when you consistently stay at the top tables of these events, especially it being an 8-rounder, guys like Liam, guys like Matt, can play on the same table 3 or 4 times. So just to give it a refresh, just for them and for us, I asked the TOs if they'd be willing to rearrange some of the pieces, and they've chucked, instead of having that big line set blocker in the middle for this one, they've chucked in a couple of Nova Ls so that we can pretty much see something different. As you can see with the deployment and the movement of turn 1 for Matt, he's got these beasts that I think have moved and advanced up. I would expect one of the right-hand beasts to have trailed onto that middle right-hand objective, probably just to make sure that Gabe has to actually bring something out and do something in his turn 1. Both of his keepers have been quite aggressive. One's moved up centrally and one getting what I'd assume is a very big advance into the bottom left-hand corner to put some pressure there. Because Gabe has got a very weak flank on that side. Like, it's actually very, very weak. He's got a unit of Reapers and it looks like just 1 Venom and 1 Raider on that half of the board. And that keeper can very well dominate like a half of the board by itself if it doesn't get taken down in short order. But man, what do you think of Matt's secondary choices?
Well, we know that majority of people have actually taken them, grind them down against Gabe and also against the other Eldari players that we've seen. So he backs himself to just pip off some of those little weaker units. So I like that. He has the Terminators, which will be able to just absolutely wreck 1 to 2 units per turn. So that's obviously something good. That Keeper of Secret, once it gets into, that's going to have no drama at all, causing a lot of damage. Engage on all fronts is actually pretty good for him as well, as we've seen throughout the tournament. The beasts are able to get into a sort of a quarter each and hold that, and then it's not that hard for him to put out 1 or 2 smaller units that he has there. We know he has a unit of Nurglings that are also able to do that. Bring it down. That's obviously a bit of a no-brainer here against Gabe when you look at lists, because he has a lot of vehicles, but we have seen Gabe being able to keep a lot of them alive so far. He has skirted around the edge of the board a lot and just been able to just stay alive when majority of the time we would have seen a lot of his vehicles coming down. So it'd be interesting to see how Solly goes on that one.
Yeah, agreed. It looks like Solly made a first turn charge with that Keeper into what I assume is a Venom. I assume he's going to be going for those grind them down and bring it down points.
Only did he make a first turn charge, he made a first turn kill.
Yes, he did. He got that Venom. Looks like he's tagged into whatever is on that. On top of that, he's consolidated himself behind that piece of line of sight blocking terrain. Those Reapers are going to have to go straight up into the danger zone in order to get any shots there. So I'm assuming he's going to just try and use a whole bunch of Venoms in order to get that work done. But I think Matt's first turn is finished and we're going to be going into the bottom of turn 1. But I'm going to quickly run you through Gabe's list. And then I'll hit it over to you, Nick, if you can run through Matt's. He's starting off with a Cult of the Red Grief patrol. He has a Succubus with an Archetype Glaive, Blast Pistol, Hyper Swift Reflexes, and the Blood Glaive, so the super choppy Succubus, well, as choppy as you can make one without being Lilith. A unit of 10 Witches with a couple of Shardnets and Impalers. 2 units of, I think, 6 Reavers, just bare bones, just Blade Veins, Splinter Pistols, Splinter Rifles. Then he's got Dedicated Transports, 2 Raiders with Dark Lances and Phantasmal Grenade Launchers. He has another patrol there with Dark Technomancers. This one has 2 Homunculuses with whips and hex rifles, Ichor injectors. One has a Nightmare Doll, one has the Helm of Spite. Then he has 1, 2, 3 units of 5 racks with pretty much what they can take, Ossifactors and hex rifles. He has a Reaper. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Venoms with cannons and splinter rifles. Then he has his last detachment, which is another Dark Technomancer detachment. This one has another Homunculus, kitted out exactly the same. Another 3 units of racks. And 5 Scourges with Shredders, and then his last one is 2 more Reapers. So that is 5 Venoms, 2 Raiders, 2 units of Reavers, and 3 Reapers. Pretty much summarizing his list, and contained in a bunch of those things is a bunch of racks. You got Mr. Morrisoli's list up for us?
Yeah, mate, I do, and it is no stranger to the people following along because he is absolutely dominating this tournament so far. So first up, he's got the Lord of Change. After that, he has 1, 2, Keeper of Secrets. He then has a Chaos Space Marine Patrol of Emperor's Children. And in that, he has 10 Chaos Terminators, and then he has the Mark of Slanesh on them. He also has another unit of 10 Chaos Terminators, so he also has a Mark of Slanesh on them. I have missed a little Chaos Sorcerer, which is quite vital to the list there, above there, and that comes in a total at 1996.
Yeah, it's a very, very tidy list, isn't it? There's not much fat on the bone, only a couple of units of cultist nurglings and demonettes to do most of his actions and stuff. But it's interesting to know he hasn't gone with any actions in this one. No scramblers, nothing really else to speak of. He's just going pretty much for engage and then to kill stuff. Pretty likely he does get a lot of points off those. Looking at Gabe just moving in his first movement phase, he has got a Reaper that's trying to line up shots onto that Keeper, what looks like that Keeper. Not quite sure he's going to be able to see it past that L. With it being obscuring, he's going to have a lot of trouble there. Maybe he's drawing line of sight down the middle into that Keeper that's seen to the left of the L closer to Morrisoli. So yeah, those Reapers can really do a lot of work. I think Matt was telling me he played against a couple earlier in this event, and one Reaper, one shot a Keeper of Secrets, which is absolutely terrifying for Matt, I think.
Yeah, definitely, especially because, like you mentioned, there's not a lot of fat in this list, so he's really needing every unit to be able to pull their weight there. So just losing a massive thing like a Keeper of Secrets, which we've seen him use to great effect throughout this tournament, would be quite a deal for him.
We've just transitioned over to the Liam Hackett and Shane Condi game. This is Tyranids versus Chaos Space Marines. We are well into our turn one. It looks like the Tyranids have gone first. You want to jump through those secondaries for us?
Yeah, mate, no problem at all. So we'll start with Liam Hackett. He has taken Grind Them Down, he has taken Deploy Scramblers, and he has taken Linebreaker.
Interesting
so
one. That last one.
A few different ones there.
That last one, man, Linebreaker. That is very interesting. That means he's going to sling his units. He's going to sling them and sling them and sling them and get them right in there. But it's putting 2 units of his in his opponent's deployment zone seems like a big ask. I wonder if that's going to pay off for him. I'm really interested to see. But mind you, you only need 3 turns of Linebreaker to make it worth it, because it's 4 points each time. For his opponent, Mr. Condi, he's got engage on all fronts, deploy scramblers, and why we stand, we fight. What do you think of those ones? He's pretty much taken scramblers every time, right?
Yeah, he definitely has. He's got that little sneaky lictor in there. Tyranids love to just pop up around the table and be annoying little pests. That's one of their go-to plays. So it's been working out for him, so there's no supplies on deploy scramblers. Like you said, why we stand, we fight is a very interesting choice. We've seen someone else take that against... We've seen him take that all weekend and keep those big bugs alive. He's been very proficient with it, but looking at Liam, I think we're gonna see a bit of action here from Liam. I think we're gonna see a bit of a bloodbath, and Liam, based on his secondaries as well, I think he's going to get into that deployment zone and cause some dramas.
Liam is going to be going for it. Grind Them Down is a big one that he always likes to take because he's got his 3 big units of possessed. Each one of those is very capable of killing 2, sometimes even 3 units. I would be very interested to see how much of his Hive Guard on Mr. Condi's side he commits to getting a kill every turn, just to put a little bit of killing pressure on Liam. I would notice up in the top right, he did just pick up a unit of cultists. That was the only thing I think that Liam had in the top right on that objective. So, man, I expect Liam to have 0% chill once again, to be operating at very, very cold frequencies and be going straight up the gut, straight into his opponent. What is interesting is that placement of the Gaunt is quite clever. It's zoning off a lot of his opponent's zone. But what could be a backfire there is if he manages to get a couple of wraps off on that unit, a couple of wraps there, a couple of pinning maneuvers could see 40 possessed being slingshot right into the Tyranid lines a lot quicker than he would like. And unlike a lot of other armies that these Tyranids go up against, they don't really have any melee things that can go into this army and reliably think they're going to survive the counter assault. I mean, he can put 2 big Griblies in, right, and kill 8 possessed, but then 12 kill whatever he puts in, yeah?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a problem, like you mentioned with those Gaunts he's got sitting there. I think he's put them there as a bit of a speed bump, try to slow him down, but what's actually going to happen there, they're going to work themselves into a frenzy and they're going to create a bit of a wind tunnel behind them, which is actually going to boost them off into the rest of Shane's army there. So, yeah, I don't know if that's going to work quite like a speed bump like he wants. And like you've mentioned, the possessed aren't going to have too much of a drama getting through some of those bigger Tyranids.
Yeah, agreed. I do expect to see one unit get warp timed around the left hand side of the gaunts. If they get the right advance, they could make a very long bomb charge into the front line of warriors, which is what he's got as his second line of defense. Something like that Malanthrope going down. It's not really a key piece in any way in this game because Liam has 0 shooting, so it doesn't really matter. But getting a nice charge and wrap off on that guy would be a very big deal. But that would be a very big sling, a very big charge. You need to roll a 5 or a 6 on the advance because he doesn't get the second advance on the warp time anymore due to the FAQ. But what we might see is just that he uses a bit of a string out technique. He's been using it quite a lot, and I was talking to him after game 6 yesterday about some of the mistakes he made against Matt. The fact he was so unwilling to move up his brick of characters, which is what he was constantly needing to string back on, left him quite exposed to things like coherency checks and things like not having actually enough guys in combat to kill things like beasts reliably. Like, because beasts can be so swingy on the 5-up, 5-ups, you really want to make sure you get like 15 of your 20 dudes into combat rather than getting like 8 or 9 of them.
Yeah, that's it. And you're correct here. We were seeing, I thought we were going to see a bit of a breakdown on the left-hand side, just like you suggested, but he's pulled him back a little, so that could be the start of the daisy chain, which we've seen him like to use a lot. I think the bottom left-hand side building it looks to me like there's some Hive Guard in there.
Yeah,
so they could actually do some damage to those possessed, so I think you'd like to get rid of them.
Yeah, it's either the Hive Guard or the Biovores. If it's the Hive Guard, that might be a mistake. They are one of his why we stands. If it's the Biovores, not quite so much. Maybe he put them there last, knowing that if you put them in the back right-hand corner with something like the Hive Guard, if they are there, they would be out of range turn 1.
Out of range, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he made a bit of a concerted decision there. That would explain why the Hive Guard shot into the top right-hand unit of cultists. Maybe they were actually out of range for the possessed. I wish these boys would get some proper objectives. We might have to give these boys a set of proper objectives. Either that or just keep 3 sets or 4 sets of the nice Art of War down under ones in the bag at all time for our stream tables.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
George just pointed out the D3 plus 2 damage on the Reapers really hit hard when you have D6 attacks if you roll hot. Well, they're D3 plus 4 damage, my man, because he's Dark Technomancers. So, yeah, you can spike 7 damage at a time, and with just 2 wounds going through that Keeper's save, you can pretty much one-shot him with 1 Venom chipping in another wound here or there. I'll hit the transition over to our last one. But just a quick thoughts here. How much chill do you expect from him? And what are you seeing here? He's moving out his unit to possess. What is he doing?
I think, like you mentioned, he's just going for it, man. I think he's just trying to get into the bulk of those lines. He's trying to get around those gaunts. And he's just trying to attack straight into those Tyranids, mate.
Yep, fair. Looks like we are into Benjamin Reggett or Benji Regretti and Brian Lakeland's game, the Harlequins versus the Mixed Imperium. I would say Brian has gone second, and I would say he's very happy about that. This list is really interesting. We might want to tell people about this list before we get too deep into this thing, because this is a one-of-a-kind list of this event, and I'm a big fan of it. I might be more of a fan of it if it was in a teams event, because it's a very polarized, very skewed list. But, mate, tell us about this Imperium one.
Mate, you are not alone in loving this list. George, get your ears out, mate. You are going to love this list as well. I think this is a good list, man. Okay, so we are running a Custodes first up. It was a Shadow Keepers. So he has Trajan Valaris. After that, he has 3 Palace Gravitax. Then he has 2 Talaman Heavy Dreadnoughts. After that, he has got some Sisters chucked in there. He has a Canoness. Then he has Mortifiers, 3 lots of them. And then he has 3 lots of 3 Mortifiers. Then he has some Penitent Engines in there, 3 lots of 3. No, sorry, he has 1 unit of 3 and 2 units of 2 Penitent Engines. So this is a fun list.
This is all the mech, guys. So, yeah, I mean, 9 Mortifiers, 7 Penitent Engines, 2 Telemons, 3 Palace Grav Tanks. This is pretty cute. I'm not gonna lie. The Telemons, what do they got on them? Are they fist and gun, or are they double gun? What are they?
We have both of them sitting here, so we have fist and gun on both of them. Sorry, one of them is double gun, one of them is double storm cannon, and one of them is storm cannon with the Telemon CSs. So
there's a lot of high quality firepower. There's just got a bunch of heavy flamers and heavy bolters on the Penitent Engines and the Mortifiers. This is a really interesting quandary for Brian. Brian has a lot of OBSEC, he has a lot of fusion pistols, he has a lot of other bits and pieces that can do a lot of damage. In combat, he is not going to be very effective against anything in this army. But from shooting, he can do a lot of bits and pieces. He does have some haywire that's going to be pretty clutch. It's going to be very good here.
He's got some haywires in there.
But there's just so much, man. And he can't really combat this army. He can't really charge any of it and expect to, like, wipe out 3 Unless he's dogpiling in 10-mans and like double attacking. I mean, maybe if he was Frozen Stars with +1 to wound, he could get it done, yeah?
Yeah, that's it. I think Harlequins, I believe, are a bit of a bad matchup for Custodes in general. But with the addition of some of these modifiers and pennant engines, like you've mentioned, you can't just bust in there and start charging down. You won't be able to do some of the regular Harlequin tricks that we usually see. So it will be interesting to see what Brian can do here.
I do think this mission favors Brian. It favors his
definitely
speed,
does.
his obsec. Well, he has obsec and his opponent has 0. So anytime he wants to mess with his opponent's obsec and his opponent's primary, he will be able to. It just depends how much he's going to get bled out in the process. I would notice that the right-hand side of the table for Ben is very, very strong, but the left side is quite weak. We've only got what looks like a unit of mortifiers or a unit of mortifiers and a unit of pennant engines and 1 palace attack tank. That could be where like Brian could jump over to that side of the board, put in a big investment, maybe 10 troop, all these Harlequin bikes, all these fusion pistols, hide behind that piece of terrain, be very, very safe, and try and kill and isolate everything over that side. That would create quite a big, big issue for Ben, leaving him quite exposed. The only thing that he would have to worry about in response is that unit in the middle coming in and doing some damage, but he could screen that off with a 5-man or a Star Weaver for a lot of different things. I expect that Brian's hand will be forced right. He can't really sit back and expect to win this game, yeah?
No, he definitely can't. He's going to have to be the aggressor here. He's going to have to make some big moves. And what we're doing, let's have a quick rundown of the secondaries and get a bit of a bigger picture of what's going on here. So we'll start with Brian. He has gone with Linebreaker. He has gone with Raise the Banners. And he has gone with Bring It Down.
Yeah, what do you think of those?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good there, man. So Raise the Banners is pretty good for him. It will be a bit difficult for Ben to be able to get on those objectives and take those banners down. So I like that. Bring It Down. Obviously, with the FAQ, it is helping Ben a little bit there, but he's still majority vehicles, so you've got to take it. And then Linebreaker, that's an interesting choice, but he does have the ability to get anywhere he wants on the table with multiple units. So, like you mentioned earlier, 3 turns is all you really need to get a massive reward out of that. So I'm liking it. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm liking it as well. I think this is the good call by Brian. Don't play to have to kill any of these things. Like, you're going to get incidental. You're going to have to kill some stuff. Like, it's inevitable you're going to have to kill some stuff. So taking and bringing it down is just going to be getting incidental points. And Raise the Banners and Linebreaker, he has all the obsec in the world in this matchup. So being able to keep your banners and hold them up is probably pretty reliable for him. TechBriest _ has said they're running pennant engines. Yes, they are. He's got 3 units of modifiers and 3 units of pennant engines. I think if he could run 6 units of modifiers, he probably would. But praise be on the side that did not let him with that rule of 3. That would be absolutely yuck. What do you think of Benjamin?
What we might hear is Benjamin might actually be one of the few people that are liking these new Citra battle suits. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ben starting to run some of these bad boys.
Yeah, the Nundum, as people are calling it, the Nun Gundam, which I do like the name of. It's pretty good. This army might drop the Custodes in its next variant and have 3 units of those. 3 units of Nundums, 3 units of modifiers, 3 units of pennant engines. That is kind of terrifying.
It definitely is. So why don't you run us through the secondaries that Ben's picked there, Adam?
So Ben's taken Assassinate, While We Stand We Fight, and Engage on all fronts. The While We Stand We Fights are obviously his Telemons, but I'm trying to figure out what the third one is. It's probably Valoris, right?
Trajan Valaris would be the third one, yeah.
That's a pretty safe swathe of points there. That's a pretty safe 15 when you're running like...
I'm not sure, man. I think Trajan definitely would be, but if you're looking at Harleys with these haywire grenades, maybe he's unaware of what these haywire grenades can actually do to a Telemon.
I would say in this matchup, throwing those pennant engines and the mortifiers into his face means that maybe you bleed out and he has to commit the haywires before they're able to do any damage to the Telemons. But yeah, you're right. Under usual circumstances, if his opponent had like 3 into 3 bikes, it would be a scary call. But yeah, While We Stand We Fight makes all the sense in the world. Engage on all fronts, he's pushing up aggressively. He's playing for that. Assassinate is an interesting one. There aren't that many characters for Mr. Lakeland. We might as well run through his list. It's a good segue, right?
It definitely is.
He's got Soaring Spite, Serpent's Blood, of course. So he's playing the janky Harlequins. Not that other Harlequins aren't janky, but these ones are super jank. He's got a Shadowseer, Troop Master, another Troop Master. The Shadowseer, of course, has all the extra buffs, the minus 6-inch range, all that goodness. And the Troop Master is the Choppy Boy. And the other one is just a choreographer of Ward, sweet Jesus, and a fusion pistol with a Harlequin's Kiss. Then he's got 3 10-man bombs with a couple of fusion pistols and a bunch of caresses. Then he's got 3 fusion bombs with just 5 players with fusion pistols and caresses as well. He's got a Death Jester and a Solitaire. unit of 3 Skyweavers, a unit of 2 Skyweavers, a unit of 2 Skyweavers, and 3 Starweavers to tote around the bomb. So he does have 5 characters. So technically he could max it, but those points are things that are very easy to keep away from him, which I think is a bit of a concern for me. One thing we might see happen is we see a Twilight Pathways, the use of so 1 CP to redeploy a bunch of characters. Should and maybe if they get in a bit of trouble, Brian can from 1 CP pick them up and redeploy them. That would be a pretty nice play, especially to get things like Linebreaker and bring it. Especially to get things like Linebreaker for Brian. As you can see, it's a really aggressive push-up on the left flank, which has left his backfield a bit exposed. I wonder if Brian sees that and goes, oh wow, I guess I'm going to max Linebreaker this game, because that's what I'm seeing as well.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that's going to be the case. Yeah, he's gone very hard to the right there. That skew there, you can see it's really only like 1 palace on the left-hand side there that we've got defending anything there. And then the top left-hand side, is that a model from Brian's army on the top left-hand side, on top of that building there?
On the top left-hand side, no, that's one of the objectives. So the objectives are the purplish tinged kind of Tyranidy looking things on the table. If you can notice them, there's the 6 of them scattered around. Yeah,
yep,
so
yep.
the top left hand.
I'm with you now.
But there is a model next to that. You're right. There is definitely a model next to that. I wonder what that could be, because there isn't. Sorry, it could be the Canoness. It could be
with a smaller base there. Oh yeah, true. The Canoness. Yeah, I didn't think it would be something from here. That's what it will be. I believe it would be the Canoness. Yeah, good call.
But yeah, as you can see, with going into the bottom of turn 1, I do really expect to see a heavy investment by Brian onto the left-hand flank, just because it is the obvious weaker choice, and going into the Rains of Fire, the 2 Telemons would be an absolute no bueno.
Yeah, that Canoness is going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting there.
Oh, dude, yeah. She's probably cooked next turn. She's probably cooked next turn. But she might get run away, fall back, try and keep a couple of points safe. We will jump into... is there one table we haven't touched on yet?
No, I think we've touched all 3.
Beautiful. We will stick back to our 4-table view then, guys. We'll see where the interest is. Any requests in the chat of which games you would like to see from there, please chuck them up. We got any questions?
Tech Priest, is she a Becky or just generic? I'm assuming that's in regards to the Canoness there.
Is she a Becky or just generic? As in the Canoness? Is the Canoness as in, is it a Smashy Canoness or just generic? I will have a quick look. Power Sword, Relic, Iron Surplus of St. Estella, and Impervious to Pain. So I'm thinking she's taken both the defensive buffs, like the defensive Relic and the defensive Warlord trait.
So Sam's pointed out that she's a toughie, not a Becky.
Yes, she's a chonker. She's thick.
She definitely is.
Bill Gross is chucked up. Nids are so much fun to watch. Looking at the bottom right-hand side, that's what I thought was going to happen, guys. That's what I thought was going to happen. Bottom right-hand corner, you see how that 1 unit of Possessed is strung all the way through that Terrain Priest and all the way into that bottom left-hand ruin? That means, whatever's down there, the Bivores or the Hive Guard, let it not be the Hive Guard, please, has just been tagged from the Possessed. Man, they move fast when they want to.
Yeah, they definitely do. We've got Lucas here in the chat. He said never thought he'd see Word Bearers versus Nids on top tables. Mate, welcome to the land down under.
Dude, yeah, we are a wonky land. Nothing makes sense. It's literally bizarro world. But yeah, a full commitment by Liam turn 1, all 3 units Possessed getting into the action. Pretty interesting as well. The unit on the right hand side of the middle line of sight blocking piece, they have stayed away from that wall, and that is the unit that killed the Gaunts, which let the other unit that's on the other side of the wall do a nice 6-inch move towards the opponent's lines. This might get spicy very quickly. I think the next line of Gaunts needs to go up, but unfortunately it's only going to be delaying the inevitable. I'm not quite sure how he's going to kill enough Possessed next turn to stop this absolute imposing tide crashing into him and just either tying everything up or actually killing everything.
Yeah, that's it. It's actually done a little bit of is that the Herodrill that's gone to the right there? It's interesting what his plans are with that, whether or not he's going to try and throw that in and try and get some actions happening. We're actually seeing a bit of an early play here from some of the big Tyranids. We've known from his previous games. he's been holding them off quite a bit and using them late game to hold objectives and stuff. But obviously, Shane knows he's going to have to get them in early here.
Yeah, he's moving up the Maliceptor. I do agree with what you're saying with the Barbed Hero Drill. He just needs to make sure it's going to actually shoot, because that piece of line side blocking terrain in the middle is going to cause it absolute headaches. I would have liked to have seen it be one of the last things placed and go right on the left-hand side, anchoring that flank, because then it would have good fields of fire, because obviously he would have known by then where Liam was going to be investing his possessed, and that he could be a nice little bulwark against them. So when Liam does string out, as you saw with what Solly did, when Liam strings out with a small frontage and then a long tail back to his characters, things like a Barbed Hero Drill can literally like hold up for a turn or two, which can be huge for buying time for this army.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Just having a look at Soli's game there. Let's have a look at what he is doing. So we're seeing some spacing out there by Gabe. Gabe's sort of taking a bit more of a center table approach here. Now, there was a bit of an interesting ruling from some of his units from this tournament, actually, wasn't there, Adam?
Yeah, so with Dark Technomancers, and with the FAQs and the new rules for 9th edition, there was a lot of discussion about the units inside, whether they can overcharge for the 2 damage, and if they do overcharge, do they take wounds? I might not necessarily think this is the right ruling. It's irrelevant what I think, but they have ruled that the guys inside can overcharge, and if they do, they don't take wounds, because they're not on the table. So it's quite advantageous in this one. Because of the 2 damage poison, he's actually going to be able to do a lot of damage to things like beasts, who otherwise their high toughness and the 2 saves would be really things that would hold people back from killing any significant amount of them. It looks like we are going into Mr. Morosoli's turn 2, so we might jump into that one and get a quick gaze. But yeah, really interested to see what Gabe scored in his turn 1. I do think Gabe's doing a good job of bubbling out the Terminators. I'm of the opinion we're probably going to see 1 unit of Terminators come down this turn, and then the second unit will probably be held in reserve. That keeper on the left-hand side has survived and is now pivoted around the bottom of the board. And if you guys might be able to just see it. Actually, no, I don't think that is the keeper. I think that's his tape measure.
I think so. I think
I'm on point today, guys.
All right, so as we come in here, very well done to the boys. Gabe and Matt have actually been keeping us updated with scores. So for those following along at home, thank you to BCP. We are able to keep you live updated scores. This is something that the BCP provides for us, so thank you very much. Looking at the scores here, so Gabe Dello, he has 0 for primary, he has 3 for engage on all fronts. That's obviously because he's only had his first turn. Matt Morosoli, he has on primary, he has 10 points, engage on all points on 2, and bring it down for 1. So currently, he is up by 10 points, 30-3 in favour of Soli there.
We're looking, Soli is racking up and chucking down his little boxes for where he's going to put his Terminators. He really wants to see what he can get done with them this turn, as in, can he pull down one of these Reapers? I believe it's actually quite likely that Gabe loses 2 Reapers this turn. If you can see where that Keeper of Secrets is in the bottom middle of the table, that one has taken some wounds, but he will easily be able to get into that Reaper this turn that is sitting on top of that ruin, simply because of that 5-inch vertical engagement range. The Keeper onto the left-hand side of the board looks like it's actually not there anymore, which is kind of surprising, but we do see some dice at the back there. But considering as I can't see it being moved, it hasn't been moved from where it was, I'm of the opinion that guy's probably dead, which is a bit of a hit to Matt, but I think the distraction value from there would probably have been worth it. And of course, because of that, he got some points on engagement fronts and he got to bring it down. But because it died, he didn't get grind them down, which I think is what he was trying to do there. Interesting bit to note that Gabe has slung up a bunch of Ravagers. Sort of Ravagers, Reavers. Everything starts with an R word in this army. And you see what they are. They are sitting on the middle left-hand objective, and the middle right-hand objective has a Raider upon it, and a Venom right next to it. There's a lot of things here for Matt to kill. I would expect that law to change to get relevant very quickly. I expect it, because that is something that can legitimately kill Venoms very easy. Maybe not a Raider, with only having the 6 attacks. But yeah, I think going into Venoms, I'd like to see him get a little bit more aggressive. The 2 Venoms on the right-hand side are going to get invested by the Terminators. And they should both be brought down in short order. That is if he is not in range of that Reaper in the bottom right-hand corner. If he is within 24 inches of that, with Veterans on Longbow and Double Shoot, he will be able to kill it. And as soon as those Reapers go down, his ability to kill these Greater Demons is gone, and he'll be able to run the board and dominate things a lot more easily.
Yeah, that's it. So we're seeing a lot of spacing out there. You mentioned that a lot of these vehicles and things in this Dark Elder army start with the letter R, and that I believe that is because they are the space pirates, and
That's
that is
right.
their favorite
Arr.
letter.
Well done, Nick.
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot. We're seeing a lot of spacing out here from a lot of units. Obviously, he doesn't want to get those Terminators too close to those Reapers. You've mentioned that the Keeper of Secrets is actually going to come in there and start ripping down some of these while we stand points, which is going to be big for Solly. We actually haven't seen anyone, including Liam, get into those and be able to get any of those while we stand. So I do believe Gabe has taken 15 in every single game. So this could be the very first time we're seeing some action here for these Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, by Gabe is a very much a confidence pick and confidence in his ability to screen, his ability to use his long movement and his long reach to keep these things safe. But unfortunately, it has made him a little bit predictable as he has used it. And I think I'd be suffice to say he's probably picked it in every single game he's played. It has let Matt really plan for it and really like line up some juicy charges. As you can see, those keepers are things that are very good at hunting these guys down. And he's pretty much going to be losing one, possibly two this turn. Depending. Interested to know why the lock hasn't moved, the Lord of Change. I thought that guy would be getting aggressive.
We are seeing another keeper there. So
he's still alive.
That's obviously the one that was in the middle building. I had thought myself it was very close to the block party. So if anyone was going to go and involve themselves in a block party, it would be a Keeper of Secrets.
Yeah, indeed. Oh no. So he's just checking his basing to see if the guy could fit. So yeah, he is dead, but he was just checking to see if he could fit keep the lock there. And 100%, I was really surprised if he didn't use the lock. And what he's going to be doing there is with that charge, he will try and get him onto the objective. I think that's what he was seeing. Is seeing that with my charge, am I able to get him onto the objective? Because then like he'd be evening him out there and he'd be hurting Gabe's primary going into the next turn. As it is right now, should see a unit of Beast go into those Reavers. That's an interesting one. I think Reavers are only 2 wounds. At toughness 4 with the 4+ save, and a beast D6, the D6 strength 4, no ran 2 damage, but they rerolls to wound. Yeah, am I remembering that right?
Yes, that's what I remember. Yep.
Man, if the beasts roll hot on their D6 attacks, they could easily kill those Reapers, especially if they spend the 1 CP to get the Mortals, which I would expect him to do because those Reapers being on objective is no bueno, and Matt wants to bleed out literally as many things as humanly possible.
Yeah, that's it. And I think, so obviously you're correct here. We're seeing 1 unit of Terminators on the top right-hand side. Do you think the bottom left-hand side, we're going to see some more Terminators backing up some units there?
I wouldn't expect to see them this turn. I think Gabe's still screening far too well. He's still screening far too well. That he's actually going to probably hold one up. But what I do expect to see is the beasts that are in front of those charge into the Raider. Yeah, either charge into the Venoms or charge into the Raider. And then we're going to see what's close to an auto charge. A 98% charge is going to charge whatever comes out of those Venoms. If he does get a wrap, that's really bad pressure-wise because then Gabe would be very much isolated between 2 Greater Demons and a unit of Terminators, pressuring him into essentially what would turn him into a Vanguard deployment and very much contained in his deployment zone. Saucy.
Yes, it does seem to be a bit of a push to that bottom right-hand corner for Solly there.
Well, yeah, like you said, a lot of boys are leaving a bit of a weak flank, aren't they? Like, Gabe's left-hand flank was very weak, and because of that, it was able to be gobbled on by a keeper, yeah?
Yeah, definitely, which is very interesting considering he's taken engage on all fronts there.
Yeah, Matt might not be getting 3 points for engage this turn, but he's definitely going to be getting 2 points. I'm not quite sure if he can do anything to sling into the bottom left-hand corner. Maybe with a huge charge from those beasts, they can kill those Reapers and then pile and consolidate onto the other side. But yeah, we're seeing a couple of smites come in, I think, just into the Reavers in the bottom right-hand corner. We're going to stick with this game until we pretty much see what the shooting from the Terminators does. I want to see if he's actually in range of that Reaper. Do you think that's 24 inches?
Yeah, I think it is because just a reminder to everyone at home, actually right in front of that Venom center of table is where that Lord of Change is sitting. They've just put a dice there as a reminder. Obviously, the big giant wings wouldn't fit in there. Yeah,
they don't want to risk the model balancing it on that forest. But it is an auto charge from there, so let's see he rolls snakes, he'll make it in. Of course, he has fly, doesn't he? So I don't think... No, you don't get fly. You don't get fly. Yeah, you still will take the negatives. But that's probably why he was trying to get him onto the objective in the first place, just so, yeah, he doesn't risk it.
Yep.
But the actual risk is that the keeper kills that unit and then he piles out OBSEC onto that objective anyway, in which case that would be bad.
Yeah, that's going to be some drama for him there. So, yeah, I definitely think we hang around with this game. I'm very interested to see what that keeper does to those Raiders, because that's obviously going to be a very big play and a big swing inside Matt's favour, because it's definitely something that Gabe has been trying to hold on to all this tournament.
Yeah, Matt's picking up his shooting dice now. This is the Terminators. They'll be veterans of the long wall, so they'll be winning this on 4s. It only has 12 wounds and a 4+ save, toughness 6. So he's actually, with prescience, he's actually pretty likely to kill it either through the first roll or the second roll. I think we're just seeing a lightning fast reactions come through from Gabe, so I'm hitting him on 3s instead of the 2s. 100% you need to do that, my man, but I don't think it's going to save you. It just means that definitely Matt has to double shoot.
We have seen a lot of change going to the world.
Flung, lot of change. Yeeted, as the kids would say. So winning on 4s and then a 4-up save. Going to be interesting to see what the over-under is on that. A lot of wounds, guys. That is a good roll by Matt. That is a very strong roll on the 4+.
Yeah, Gabe is having to find all the dice on the table there, even the ones that they've got down as markers. So there's a lot of wounds coming in on Gabe here. So I'm thinking it's going to be toast.
Well, I don't think he's got 24 dice there, so Gabe would need to roll badly on his 4+ in order to die. He's got 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh. It's going to be still alive. Definitely going to get the double shoot.
It's definitely going to be still alive.
He's got the 6-up feel no pains as well. Here they come through. It only looks like he failed 5.
It is Gonski's.
Oh, it's picked up. Wow. Okay, so we might have missed a couple of wounds already going through. Maybe some targeted smites.
Yeah, from some of the previous turns.
Exactly right. But the thing is that was his first round of shooting. The second round of shooting, he's going to get to pop a bunch of venoms. And that's 5 while we stand points already gone begging from Gabe. Not looking great so far, but dude, he's still got a lot of obsec. He's still got a lot of abilities to get a big score, which we saw versus Luke, didn't we? We called that game completely wrong, right? But just to give people
we definitely did.
Update the people on what went down.
And just for people following at home, just because Sully is undefeated currently, that does not mean that he is guaranteed to take out this tournament. So right now, Gabe, he needs to actually get in there and beat Sully and continue his dominance so that he's had so far, trying to get first place as well. So this is still actually playing off for first place. There's no guarantee that we will have an undefeated champion at the end of this tournament.
Yeah, we need to get some memes of like Palpatine waiting in the wings before he runs the Senate, and then like if Sully wins, we just get like Liam running out and saying, I am the Senate, because he's waiting in the rings with a hellacious battle score. If Matt even ever drops a game, he'll drop down to 2nd or 3rd, and Liam will be indomitable atop the pile, like pretty much so far ahead on battle that no one will be able to catch him. So yeah, it's really just Liam and Sully for first place right now, unless either of these players drop another game, of course. Tom Adriani joined us in the chat. Hello, Tom. For those who don't know Tom, he is one of the organisers of the WTC, an absolute champion of the people, and a wonderfully lovely man from Belgium. Love you very much, Tom. Happy to hear you and your partner and your child, probably your baby, are sitting here watching us, listening to this hopefully a very good commentary. Chris W has joined us. He's asked what other games we've got on camera. Which other ones are we covering here, Nick?
So we are also carrying Liam Hackett, as you just touched on then. He is playing against a very strong, powerful Tyranid list. And who else? The third person we have, Ben Reggetti. Is that how you say it?
Mr. Ben Regget, but I call him Benny Regretti for some reason.
Benny Regretti, and he is up against Brian Lakeland with his Harlequins.
Yeah, I've just hit the transition over to that one in particular because I really wanted to see what he was going to do in his turn. As you can see, he's had a massive investment of Harlequins onto the left flank. We've got bikes, we've got troop going in. He's looking to get just some work done early, and I think he has got the resources to do this right now. He might not have the resources to do it in a couple of turns, but as of right now, he really does need to do it. And if you'll see, I think he's got a couple of empty boats that have jumped up just to slow down and close down some of the movement lanes for some of these guys. One of the mortifiers or pennant engines in the middle has been picked up. I'm not sure if there's a 5 in front of that Talamont at the top, which could be some Haywire bikes. I'm not sure where they would be that's doing that damage. But onto the left, we've got at least 10 troops, if possible, a couple of units of 5s that have shot their fusions and are now going to be charging both units of the pennant engines or the mortifiers on the left-hand side. Have you seen the models of these? Is there any way for us to tell which are which?
No, I'm pretty certain they're exactly the same. So I've actually painted up a bunch of them, and I'm pretty certain that it's very difficult for you and I from this angle to be able to tell what the difference is.
George, unlimited power. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, not from above there isn't. Not really. There's supposed to be 3 palace grav tanks as well for Mr. Regretti. It could be one in the top right-hand corner sitting on that objective. I would assume he would leave something back there. But yeah, we could definitely see 2. Yeah, you're right. The third one might be in reserve. I don't know why he would do that, but it might be, I guess.
The third one also could have been kaput.
It could have been kaput already. Yeah, exactly right. We're seeing, I think this is a 10-man unit of Harlequin troop going in. Right now, he'd probably be like cursing himself, saying, "Why didn't I take Frozen Stars? This is stupid, Brian." But man, when the jank comes in turn 4 and 5 with this army, and he starts just getting 30-point swings, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely. And like you mentioned, we're seeing a bit of a corralling there by the Star Weavers on the right hand side, just trying to pin Benjamin to that top right hand side so he can't get out and control most of these objectives. You were right 100%, like you said on the left-hand side there, that Brian has taken a very commanding presence on that left-hand side.
Well, it was an obvious weak flank, wasn't it? It was just like, clever use of that big piece of line side blocking terrain to the left of middle, he can really go in there, invest as many resources as he wants, and they could sit quite safe on the other side without getting like absolutely hammered back, which would be pretty much, if he was invest anywhere else on the table, it would be the reality. Do these pennant engines and mortifiers have a 4+ armor or a 3+? I think they're a 4+.
I think it's a 4+. Yeah, I don't think they have a 3+, but someone could correct me on that one.
So all these caress attacks will be taking him to his 6+ invulnerable save, which I don't think he gets either. So 6+ armor save on these guys. So we could be losing a hell of a lot of them this turn. It's 5 wounds each or 6 wounds each. I think the 6 wounds, toughness 5.
Yeah, they're definitely toughness 5. Sam has pointed out they have a 4+ save there, so you're correct there. They're going down to a 6 up, so they're going to be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, interesting to see how many exploded. We're going to see a couple of dice being rolled. Because I think they flail like monsters when they die. Like they do that thing I was saying, that Bart, that episode? Back to game 1, last time we saw pennant engines. Everybody see that episode of Simpsons where Lisa and Bart fight and Bart just swings his arm and says, "I'm just going to do this. And if you get hit, it's your own fault." That's literally a pennant engine's entire life. Just this. Yeah.
Just a person strapped to someone doing that, which is even more terrifying.
Oh, that guy's screaming the whole time.
Let's hope you don't get motion sickness because you are buckled in for a rough time. All right, the tech priest is pointing out, they do 1 mortal wound on a 4+ for every model in combat. Scary stuff.
Yeah.
So they're going down flailing, those bad boys.
Going down flailing. Looks like we've had a couple of. Looks like we have had a couple of wounds done. I think I saw Brian do a couple of saves. Maybe there's an interrupt here, because these are a hellacious amount of attacks that come from these models. I haven't seen any of them be picked up yet, but maybe they're just doing the attacks before they get done. We've got one dead. How many?
I think currently.
I think the squad's
2's been picked up. Yeah, I'd say it's looking like it. He's definitely got 2 have definitely gone. I think 1's left in there. I'm just going to bow out for a couple of minutes, Adam.
Yeah, no stress. I would love to see a wrap come off on these guys, just because there's a couple of hearty heavy flamers on the pennant engines. A unit of 2 pennant engines with 4 heavy flamers can do a hell of a lot of work into a unit of 10 troops. So maybe that's something he'll definitely want to try and do. Although we have got a bunch more attacks coming through. Maybe there's a character or 2 or a troop master with a Twilight Fang who's going to be investing here as well. Looks like he's done 4 wounds. Saves coming up momentarily. Looks like he has made 2. Becomes a Feel No Pains. That would be the Twilight Fang for sure. Either that or the Solitaire, the only things that are going to be doing multi-wounds here. Does it explode? No, I think that'll be the 3rd and final one in that unit being picked up. No, there should be 1 left. Either that is a unit of 2 pennant mortifiers, or that is 2 singles of mortifiers or pennant engine, or a combination of either. In the chat, it's actually, those Star Waves are actually pretty annoying for this army, because do these guys hit on 4s with the heavy bolters or 3s?
I would say just off the top of my head that it would be 4s, but I will have a look.
I hope it's 4s, but I got a feeling it's 3s, and I wouldn't be able to explain to you why it's 3s, why this, because these are just dudes, right? At least on the pennant engines, they're just dudes. It might be sisters on the mortifiers, which is why they hit better, and why they get to have actual gun.
So everyone's pointing out that it's 3s there. So thank you, chat.
It's exactly why everyone loves them, because they're just that good. So good. Interested that he fell back away from the pennant engines and the mortifiers, that he used that consolidation to pull back. I would have thought he would have gone forwards, but maybe those are pennant engines and mortifiers, and they've got like whatever 12 attacks each or whatever the ridiculous is. It's just like, no, I just don't need to take that damage right now. There are a bunch of shenanigans he can do, and I think he's blocked from the worst of the firing lanes already from being behind that. All he'll get is the investment from that unit on the right. Not quite sure what it is, but decent hitback. Very decent hitback from Brian. I'm just going to stick with it to hopefully get the scores from his bottom of 1 before we go into the top of turn 2 for Mr. Benjamin. Or Mr.
Just a shout out. We've just had Aaron Green join us in the chat there. Hey, Aaron. How's it going, mate? Thanks for following along.
Yeah, exactly right. I assume that's why he pulled back, but I thought he'd be exposing himself to firing lanes otherwise. But to the right of him, maybe it's just one Telemon. Maybe it's not the double shooting Telemon as well. So maybe he's not going to be taking that much fire.
Yeah, that is a double tail. He's shooting one on the far right there, I do believe. It looks like they do has 2 storm cannons on it. He also has a palace directly above him, so that palace is able to put a little bit of shots down, and so will the one on the far right. So there are a couple of little custos units that can plink off a couple of those players there.
Yeah, definitely. But maybe due to the minus 6-inch range of the Shadow Seers nearby, that boy might not be in range with his... actually, what is the range of the storm cannons? I would have thought the main shots having like 48 or 36
The big
inches.
ones are 36 and 24 are the ranges on the 2 different profiles.
So he can shoot the big gun, but he can't shoot the little gun. And these Harlequins do not care about the big gun. You get 4 shots.
They definitely do not.
Hitting them probably into possibly -1 if you're lightning fast or does that. But he gets 4 shots hitting on 2s. Cool. 4 hits, 4 wounds. He only kills 2 dudes through the 4+ in bottom.
He will get some reroll buffs. I do believe Trajan will be sitting around there somewhere. It looks like he is behind the other Telemon, so maybe it's out of range there.
Definitely will be out of range for the double shooty Telemon. And does it look like that Telemon's taking wounds? It looks like there's a counter on the bottom of its base, or there's a 5
I think
in
you're
front
right.
of
You
it.
pointed that out earlier. There is a 5 sitting there, so could be a case for seeing it from the bikes. I know they do get some kind of double move shenanigans. We do have a unit of bikes in the bottom, in the center of the table there, behind that building. We could have seen something like that.
I could definitely see another unit of bikes way to the left of screen. Unfortunately, our camera has moved. It was nice and central first thing this morning, but a little bump has caused it to skew to the right for us. But we can definitely see the base of a bike all the way to the left of screen. And then there's a unit of 2 more right below in Brian's deployment zone, below that orange tip of that objective. We'll go to our 4 table view. Just have a quick gaze at all 3 and see if there's anything interesting happening on any of these. I would be interested to see if the assault phase has happened for Mr. Morrisoli, and if it has that Reaper that was sitting on top of the terrain piece been taken down. It has been charged. It has been charged, guys. What can you see on that table for us, man? Because a lot has happened.
Yeah, definitely a lot has happened. So that Lord of Changes looks like he's gotten rid of that Venom that's sitting there. The Venoms on the right-hand side seem to have also been there. Now, what I'm interested in, those Terminators, they seem to have gone through the building there. They have charged and made the charge after the drop into another Venom. Oh, and it looks like we have Gabe's hand on one of those Raiders. Yes, it has been removed also. Also, Soli is making some very good inroads in here. Be very interesting to see if these boys have updated these scores and where they are currently. So that Seeker is going as far away from the block party as it can, and he's going to get as many while we stand points as it possibly can.
We're getting into yikes stage for Gabe. He needs to break out of this position. He needs to spread, use his speed, get away from this bottom right-hand corner, jump over the Keeper of Secrets, kill it, and continue to have, and pretty much switch his deployment zone from the bottom right-hand corner to the bottom left-hand corner. He does have the speed to do it, but he can't do it while that Keeper's there. That Keeper needs to go down. But if he does manage to do it, he needs to also re-establish some kind of screen, because there's another unit of Terminators coming in next turn, guys. Matt's done a really good job here. The Terminators have charged that Raider, but what they have done is that they've completely body blocked that objective. Completely body blocked it. I don't think there's any way for him to place a model there, because naturally off the disembark you can't place any models within an inch. So he's completely insulated that one from his opponent. Very clever, very savvy play by Mr. Morrisoli there. The one of the Venoms on the right-hand side has been tagged by the Beasts. Maybe he didn't roll a high enough charge to get into both, but I don't expect 2 Beasts to kill a Venom. They got to roll pretty high in the D6s, and then they're winning on 5s re-rolling. It's probably not going to go that well. It does look like they have been killed. I just saw the wound counter change on that one. But yeah, two Reapers down. Oh, it's looking pretty rough there. Is that one Reaver left in that unit that got charged by the 5 Beasts on the left-hand side? Can you see one there?
I can't see. I can see the Venom that I thought may have dead is actually possibly still alive on the left there.
Oh,
Reaver-wise, so Reaver. No, I'm not really sure, man. I can't really see. There's a couple of down the bottom. There's some bikes there. On the left-hand side, I think they're all gone. No, there's one in the center there. You're right. There is one in the center on that objective. So he wasn't able to get rid of all of them there. So being the fast attack there, that he's not actually holding that. So Matt will hold that. So we're looking at a very big primary swing here for Matt.
And on top of that, he's still corralling. He's still holding Gabe back from his primary, because that's pretty much all Gabe wants to do. Shoot 2 damage poison into greater demons and play the primary and not lose to the Terminators. Unfortunately, these Terminators are going into that Raider. That Raider will be picked up. He's going to be getting a swathe of bring it down points this turn. You know, he's already killed 1 Reaper, and he's actually already killed 2 this turn. He's going to be picking up possibly that Raider as well. Interested to see if that Venom is alive. If it is alive, and it looks like it's alive, how many wounds did it take from the lock? Or did the lock just lay an absolute egg, as it sometimes can do?
Well, it could be getting removed right now. Actually, we're seeing a bit of a deployment from some witches here, so it could actually be removed.
Yeah, it very well could be.
Yeah, so there we go. It is Gornsky. So one thing to remember, that Upgave's sleeve that he's got there, he does have a bunch of Scourges that he likes to bring down to get him his deploy scramble points. So there's not a lot that Soli can do about deploy scramblers in the top left-hand corner there. So he's not positioned anything there to screen out. So I think we're going to definitely see a 10-point play there from Gabe. So that's going to help keep the scores a little bit closer.
Yeah, exactly right. He's got the bottom left-hand corner and the bottom right-hand corner, but then it's all solely for the rest. He's like, I'm really a big fan of this player. I don't want to pump up his tires too much. His head is big enough, but the fact he was able to completely body block that middle right objective from his opponent, even after the opponent disembarked a bunch of OBSEC models, that's really powerful, really well done. Whole unit of Terminators, a lock, and a whole unit of Beasts. Well, three of a 5-man unit of Beasts was needed to pull that play off. A big investment of points and a big brain play, but it looks like it's come off for him.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, hats off to Soli there. So we don't have much of a score update yet. So the boys are probably still in the same turn 2, I would imagine. Do you think it's turn 2 here, Adam?
This would be Soli's turn 2, of course, because the first unit of Terminators came down. It's just going to get. I think it might just get worse from here for Gabe. He's looking like he's in a lot of trouble. It looks like he's in a lot of trouble. The back left-hand corner, I'm interested to see what's back there. It's probably Soli's unit of either Cultists or Demonettes. In fact, I think I can see the Demonettes in the top right-hand corner. So there's a unit of Nurglings unaccounted for and a unit of Cultists. I'm expecting one of them to be back there on that one. The unfortunate reality is that a unit of Scourges might come down for Gabe, and with their Shredders, they actually have quite good odds to pick up 10 Cultists or 3 Nurglings pretty reliably, and then he could easily dominate that top left-hand side of the table, pulling that unit of Beasts away from the middle if he wishes, and they could just sit there and rack up a bunch of grind them down points, a bunch of engagement or fronts points as well, and of course get scramblers in later turns. So that could, by Soli pushing forward so aggressively, he has contained a lot of Gabe's elements, but he's left himself exposed in that back left-hand corner, I believe.
Yeah, that's it. So like you pointed out, just only the Cultists probably there. They are able to be dealt with pretty easily. And we also have a couple little things on the left-hand side there. So we see one Venom near those beasts there. So that's obviously going to have some witches in it as well, with a bit of firepower. And is it some bikes we're seeing on the bottom left-hand side there? Down the very...
I don't think it's bikes. I think that might be another Venom. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
True, yes. Yeah, you're right there.
It could be another Venom, and that Venom could have already disgorged its 5-man unit of Rax. The Raider has just been destroyed by the Terminators in combat. I think that was pretty much a foregone conclusion. We are once again seeing very much some no-chill games by these players, not playing very cagey or very defensively, just gunning and trying to get work done. I think that is the polarity pull of these armies. Like, Gabe wants you to play defensively. He wants to shoot up a bunch of things, skirt around objectives, get good firing lanes for him and bad ones for you, plunk in with a lot of these 2-damage Venoms and Reapers, and then slowly just edge you and deny your primary. And so in response, Matt's just been like, no chill, everything goes forward. Coming for you, coming to get you. And I believe it's paying dividends right now. We'll see how it goes in further turns. Gabe still has a lot of play.
Speaking of no chill, our boy George G, he's got no chill. He thinks Matt's just going to wipe out Gabe here. So George is all above the Soli train, the Soli Express.
The Soli Express. We were joking that people are always at this event looking for a Soli solution or a solution, and it was just that joke fell well flat, guys. But I thought I needed to share that with you just so you know how funny a guy I am. We have transitioned over to the Liam Hackett Shane Condi game. What are you seeing here? Give us a call at the scoreboard as well.
Yeah, no worries, man. We'll go straight into the scores here. So we're looking at Liam Hackett straight up first. We know he went first, I do believe. Primary, he's sitting on 15. Grind them down, he's on 3. He has not performed his scramblers yet, and he has not got any line breaker points. And looking at the table, currently he does not have anything in Shane's deployment zone. Going through Shane's points, he is on 5 for the primary. 2 for engage on all fronts. Scramblers, he has not performed that yet or has not entered it in. And while we stand, we fight, he is still on 0. But looking at the table currently, I believe he's at 15 for that. Would that be correct, Adam?
Yeah, he is. Oh, sorry, for scramblers, you think he's got scramblers already?
No, I think he's got his. He currently still has his while we stands because most of his big gribblies, his big monsters are still on the table.
They're all there. So that's the Tyrannifex, the Barbed Hero Jewel, and of course his unit of Hive Guard. An interesting thing that was done by his opponent is that unit of warriors. They moved and advanced up to get on range of that objective, just to deny it to his opponent. Because I think that's a unit of cultists.
It looks at the smaller bases there. Yeah. I think that's the unit of cultists that he's got there.
I am. So Liam has learned from his past mistakes, and if you'll notice, he has double moved up a lot of his characters. I'm not seeing a lot of possessed on the table though. That unit that was on the left hand side is either completely gone or what's left of it is inside that building. Man, that's actually very interesting to me. But look, he only really needs 1 unit of possess to get all the work done. But the firepower from this Nid army is not to be underestimated. It doesn't look all that impressive on paper, but it does do a hell of a lot of work. Like he's got all the good shooting elements, right?
Yeah, he's got all the good powerful Nid buffs that you can expect on those Hive Guard and whatnot. So the Hive Guard, they can obviously do a lot of good shooting. We mentioned that they're very likely to be on the bottom right-hand side building there where he's got his dice because we did see some cultists pick up from the bottom right. Yeah, so we saw those cultists pick up from the top right. So he's actually coming into shooting range with these Hive Guards. So they could be doing a lot of damage here. Very interesting.
Yeah, I think
he still has that character sort of unit on the left-hand side there, and he's tendrilled out from that. So
yeah, interesting to note the cultists in the bottom left-hand side of the deployment zone for Shane. That would have been a 3 CP Tide of Traders. Liam just being like, I'm going to spend 3 CP Tide of Traders, and that shows you just how much he's playing for that line breaker strat that he's picked. And of course, if you take line breaker, you got to really go for it. But now all it needs is to get 1 more unit in there, and it could very well be that there's some possessed still alive inside the bottom left-hand ruin for the Tyranids, in which case he'll just be racking 4 points up at the end of his turn.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, Linebreaker, it's obviously a bit difficult to get sometimes, and once you get it for 2 or 3 turns, you're getting 8, 12 points, so it's actually quite beneficial to get quite easily, really.
Yeah, you can put a hell of a lot of scoring power on your opponent, scoring pressure on your opponent by taking Linebreaker and scoring it early, because it's very, very, very good points. 4 points at a time on any secondary is extremely potent. Yeah, as I thought, there are some possessed still alive in the bottom left-hand side. It could be that he copped another bad coherency check, which killed himself. He killed himself back into that ruin. I think it's pretty safe to say that those guys have killed what was in there. And he's with his movement, he's moved himself to the other side of the obscuring terrains. That if he does charge that Exocrine, which he will, he cannot get overwatched. The Exocrine is one of the prime pieces available to the Tyranids for killing things like. Possessed. 100% that guy will mulligan them with all his shooting, all his Daka, and then being neg 3 and possible 3 damage. Yeah, I think you can spend CP to go 3 damage on him.
Yeah, from memory, that's definitely an option, yep.
We're seeing a wrap come off from Liam on that Maliceptor. Maybe his intention is to not kill it, which I think would be a good play. I would like to see him wrap it and not let it get out. I think that's what he's just demonstrated to his opponent, that if I do this properly,
I think you're right there.
If I do this properly, you won't be able to get out. What he will be doing is he will be using a couple of guys at the back of that unit to wipe off those warriors for him. As you can see, they're piling in right now. They're going to be getting a bunch of attacks. He might even put Celeste in also, which I think will be a good play. But yeah, this actually doesn't look great for Liam. Like just on the board, he's got stuff all left of his possessed. He's got 1 compromised unit on the right hand side. I think, is that right?
Yeah, it looks like it. That looks like a smaller unit. Obviously, they're not going through the building, I don't think. So that could just be a 5-man unit that he's got there with those Gaunts. So that's a bit of an issue. But he won't be holding that objective either. I think those Gaunts seem to me to be close enough to be able to holding that. So I think the majority of the objectives might actually be in Shane's favour because we know he'll have the one on the bottom right. He definitely has that one that we talked about with the Gaunts. Those warriors will not be holding that one, I guess, because the cultists are in front of it. So maybe it is a bit closer than I think, but I don't know how many Liam would actually be holding. So we could see a 10-point play here by Shane from primary, matching up on Liam.
But I'm about to see a bunch of these Gaunts getting picked up. He's just rolling 6+, feel no pain saves from being Leviathan. Looks like he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like possibly 10 to 11 of these Gaunts have been picked up. He might want to be, exactly. He might better be taking them away from the unit of Possessed on the left-hand side just to take less attacks on them.
Yep.
But yeah, this actually doesn't look great for Liam. Like just on the board, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like possibly 10 to 11 of these Gaunts have been picked up. He might want to be, exactly. He might better be taking them away from the unit of Possessed on the left-hand side just to take less attacks on them. which I think is probably the best call. Yeah, he is exactly right. He's picking them up from that side.
Yeah, he's done well.
Yeah, absolutely right call. Of course, he'll be keeping the ones in combat with the possessed, so that they can take that objective off him. Good play. Like, once again, he's still got all 3 units of possessed, but man, 2 of them are heavily compromised. I think a lot of people are really underestimating the shooting power of this Nid army. A lot of people are just thinking, oh, if I just kill the OBSEC, they don't have enough shooting to kill me. And then they're just getting absolutely dunked on by things like the Hive Guard, the Hero Duel, and the Exocrine. At least that's my thinking on it.
We have seen that all weekend, haven't we? We've seen those Gaunts be the first thing to go, and we initially thought, oh, that's a bit of a mistake there, just to throw away your Gaunts because they're the OBSEC. Maybe he should be pressuring them early with those big monsters there, but they've actually done all the heavy lifting. So majority of the games we've seen, that's all he's been left with a few of these big monsters, and that's been enough for him to get some big commanding wins.
Yeah, exactly right. Grow Zone Couch, do I really need to go get 10 mortifiers after the FAQ?
Just 9. Nine will do.
Just get 9. Just get 9. Just 1 unit of 6, 1 unit of 3, or 3 units of 3. Can't go wrong. They're not that many points. They don't give up that many points, and they just do so much work. Ben Ashton has just joined us. Morning all. How's it going this morning? What have I missed? Haven't missed that much. We're pretty much into the across the board bridge, somewhere in turn 2 for each game. This is the current person sitting in second place playing the guy sitting in, I think, 4th place. And then our first place player, Matt Morosoli, is playing into Gabe in 3rd. We should switch over to which game? Which game, Nick? Give us a request.
Well, we haven't seen it in a while, so we haven't seen the Custodes game in a while. So let's have a look there. Just while you're doing that, and you mentioned all those mortifiers. I know on the Art of War they've been calling them the Emperor's Dozen. That's what they've been calling a unit of 12 mortifiers there. So while we're talking about the Art of War, why don't we just mention some of the services that the Art of War have available, Adam?
Okay, yeah, absolutely right. So the Art of War is what we like to call a holistic coaching service. They have, of course, a special going on at the moment. So there's a new bundle for all 3 subscriptions to Art of War. That is both Art of War podcasts, one produced by myself, the other being by Nick Nanavati and John Damaris, the incredible production that they put on. And then you also get access to the War Room. And what the War Room brings to you is access to the members-only Facebook page and Discord channel. You also get 5 online 40k classes per week taught by experts in each field. E.g., you have a Xenos class taught by Xenos experts, Imperium class taught by Imperium experts, and then on top of that, 1 weekly meta-analysis going over recent tournament results, upcoming releases, etc. And then lastly, every single week, there'll be 1 streamed coaching game where it'll be 2 top-level players, as in the best, 2 of the best players in the world, playing 2 of the best lists available to them at the time into each other to show you how they shape up, the ins and outs of what they want to be doing against each other, and really breaking down every single nuanced movement, all the ins and outs of what all the crazy plays are. You see Matt Morosoli doing a lot of things like zoning off objectives, using all his pilots and consolidates to make sure people can't take things off him. Things of that ilk are the things that are taught in the War Room through those games, through those classes, and through the coaching services, of course. But yeah, enough about that. But myself, Nick, and the lovely Josh Diffie are from Art of War Down Under. We are a streaming service and a podcast and a couple of other little things. Right now, myself and Nick, we are the commentators for Art of War Down Under, with Diffie being very much the brainchild, the omnicide, the man who makes it all work and stick together. He is from BCP, and we're lovingly enough to be sponsored by them, as in you can go onto BCP and look up the lists and the results from this event without having to have a subscription. They've lovingly done that for us, and we're very grateful to that. And Josh Diffie has especially built things like this live scorecard, this live round tracker, as in the clock you can see, into BCP, and it's being used at this event for the very first time. So this is really the launch pad for that stuff. So please get excited for it. Hopefully it's something you'll see in a wide swathe of things, and it's definitely something we're going to be using at every single one of our ones. Anything I missed there, mate, or anything you want to add on to what I just said?
Like every time, you are bang on perfect, and you've got it all covered.
Yeah. Well, dude, tell us about like Knights of Dice or one of the other ones. Tell us about the normal blokes as well.
Yeah, no worries. So I'll go through the Knights of Dice first. The Knights of Dice, they are specializing in laser cut products. Knights of Dice focus on developing a premium range of products, ensuring that the majority of their kits have incredible details and are produced on the finest laser cutters available. In addition to amazing MDF terrain, they also have an amazing range of army carry cases with a range of different foam options for every different army. If you play this hobby, there is no better case to use. I personally use that case, and I love it. I put my Custodes in there. I put my Ultramarines in there. I've even got a bit of a Goliath Necron gang. I can follow them around and do whatever I want. So if that's something that interests you, jump on their website. You can use our coupon code for that, which is all capitals, one word, Art of War, and you'll get yourself 15% off.
Yeah, really awesome. Their support. They're an Australian producer of these products, and yeah, like I said, they're as good as anyone's in the world, guys. Highly recommend what they do, and their terrain is phenomenal. In my mind, it is the best MDF terrain in the world.
Yeah, we actually have a streaming table for us that was sent to us by them, which is a Necron table. So if you go through, you'll see some of our previous streams that we've had. That's got that beautiful table there.
Yeah, exactly right. What are you seeing for the scoreboard here? Give us a rundown of what's changed.
All right, so scoreboard-wise, we have Ben. He is sitting on 10 for the primary, 0 for Assassinate, 0 for While We Stand, and 2 for Engage. So that's actually a pretty good score. So I don't really see him ever reaching out and getting the total 3 there per turn. So looking at Brian's score, he is currently on 0 for primary, which is a bit interesting. He is on 8 for Bring It Down. So he's definitely been killing some of those vehicles of the Custodes. That would probably make an account for that third palace that George was pointing out seems to be missing on the table. So a small little 4-point lead here currently to Ben over Brian.
Of course, because he's had his turn 2, Brian hasn't scored any primary as of yet. You see there's one palace of Grav Tank has jumped all the way from the middle of the table on top of that terrain piece. It seems to be like he likes putting him on the terrain pieces, likes having him up top. That, of course, makes him a bit awkward for his opponent to charge. It looks like we're having a bunch of charges. We are in the charge phase in the bottom on the top of turn 2. Looks like we've got something on the right-hand side below that watchtower. It's been charged by 2 of the non-robots, the independent engines or mortifiers, and 1 Telemon. We've got another unit of 5 troop that's been invested in by the 2 that were in the middle, and then another 2 have gone into the unit of 10 troop on the left-hand side. Shooting hasn't seemed to have done a tremendous amount. I mean, the two Starwaves, sorry, that were blocking the inroads for those middle units have been picked up, and looks like they haven't done their job quite as much as he'd want. Either that, or some big charge rolls have made and the influence negated, because what he was hoping them to do was to be just slow down the movement phase for these guys and just buy Brian's a couple of times to chew some of the heartier elements of this, just so we can really get some stuff down and dead.
Yeah, well, just sitting in front of those Telemons on the right-hand side is either, I believe they're the mortifiers with that group of 3 hand side, so they would have made pretty light work with the shooting, backing them up from the Telemon into those Starweavers there. So I'd say that's what's happened there. He's actually just made a beeline crunch for them, and he's now sitting on that objective quite nicely.
Yeah, exactly right. This list is really interesting. I'm impressed Benjamin's got it. He must be playing it tremendously well so far, because I would have thought he'd get exposed on a couple of the other missions and just lose the primary and therefore lose the game. But I think the fact that he's so willing to play aggressively, so willing to move in advance turn 1, just get up into their grill and start really getting in and chopping, is quite impressive. I'm impressed that he's come this far with this list. He's obviously someone who knows it very well.
100%, because one of the benefits obviously of Custodes is that obsec, but we don't actually get that on the vehicles. So I'd say the only obsec that he really has in this army is Trajan Valoris himself.
Yeah, that's actually correct. Holy crap! I didn't think about that. Trajan's is the only obstacle model on that table. that's cute.
He's actually taken one of the main strengths of the Custode army and actually thrown that in the bin. And he's decided, all I need is Trajan. Trajan is the one man that I need to get obsec on this table, and I will make it work. So, which is actually interesting, because he is actually winning the primary over Brian. Not something I thought was going to happen there.
Yeah, of course, Brian hasn't scored for his turn 2 yet. He hasn't had the bottom of turn 2. But yeah, I don't know. Can't see Brian getting more than 10 points in his turn.
So he's going to get 5 for that, where he's moving those troops now. So it's going to get 5 there, and I think maybe the bottom left-hand side, he might actually have some troops. It looks like that's it. So yeah, it possibly could be 10, because he's got something in the bottom left-hand side there.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, I'm interested to know if we've seen an interrupt here. That's why this Harlequin troop is going next. A 2 CP interrupt, they fight, and then if he doesn't do a lot of damage, he can pay 2 CP and run away from them before they get to swing. He did this to me in our game during the Masters, and it did it to great effect. So yeah, interrupt here. He'll swing with his caresses. He has his fang. Troop master there as well, so I expect him to be rerolling to wound. And then I think he's just going to run away with 2 CP and live to fight another day. And that'll allow him to really slingshot into that back left-hand corner, should he wish, with that 10-man. We've also got 2 more 10-mans on this table, and I expect both of those to be in the bottom left-hand corner, unfortunately outside of our field of view, because the lads cannot not bump the tables. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to concrete in. We're going to make ourselves like a battle bunker where we hold events, and we're just going to concrete in the cameras.
White people in it now. We need like the UFC have a fight island, we need Warhammer Island.
We do. We need Warhammer Island. Someone just some millionaire out there just buy us an island and hire me and Nick to live there like for 6 months a year in paradise to stream the events because we are martyrs, absolute martyrs.
You're gonna have to bring Diffie as well, otherwise we're gonna be up the creek because we need Diffie to run all our stuff for us.
Yeah, we are pretty inept. We're good at the talky, not good at the makey things work. I think that's probably the best explanation I can give you. He's rolling his saves
Depth
right now.
as always.
Yeah, he's rolling his saves right now for what I assume to be that unit of Harlequin troop. I expect 2 CP to be paid, and for those guys to be running away.
We haven't seen too much action from that Canoness on the top left-hand side, so she's just been able to sit there and sit on the objective for the majority of the game. So it'll be interesting to see if Brian does use any of his resources here to go and take that objective off him, because that's gonna be one of the key things really for Ben. He doesn't have a lot of OBSEC up here in this army, like we pointed out earlier, but if that little Canoness can just go unnoticed and rack over some points, it could be a problem.
Yeah, agreed. He would love to be able to get that down. I think it's pretty reliable that he does. Interesting that he's still rolling dice. Doesn't look like he's rolling attack. He is rolling attack dice. That means that Brian has not run away, has not fallen back. Either that. Oh no. That was the explosions. Sorry guys. He did kill both on the interrupt, which means he doesn't need to spend the 2 CP to move. He's just going to get a nice slingshot next turn. Brian, well done. Good interrupt. There, I think that has played out. That was pretty well for him. Looking now, there's only 4. There's only actually 4 of the Sisters Walkers still left. Starting next turn, they could both be dead. Either that, or all the Harlequins just run away, and they are left doing not much at all. But yeah, Brian's
that is what they do best.
Brian also is looking in a pretty decent position. I'm not sure if it's magnificent still, because he is once again being quite corralled. But this is very, very early days, isn't it? I mean, this is the bottom of turn. This is the top of turn 2 still.
Yeah, that's it. So we're about to see Brian go into his turn 2. So it is very early days, and we have seen Benjamin be very, very aggressive early, which is probably what he had to do with the limited amount of OBSEC and the limited amount of models that he has. He's going to have to roll his sleeves up and do some early work.
Yeah, absolutely right. We're going to jump back into the Gabe Morosoli game. Looks like there's some more developments happening right now, and we are more than likely into the bottom of turn 2 for Gabe, somewhere in that realm. We could be even into the top of turn 3 for Mr. Morosoli. What can you see here on the scoreboard, mate?
All right, so scoreboard-wise, we are looking pretty even. On primary, we are 10 pieces a point, but the secondary is where we start to see that Morosoli is pulling ahead on that Soli Express. So grind him down, he's on 0. Engage on all fronts, he is on 4. Bring it down, he is on 6. We actually don't have any battle-ready points in here, but both of these boys we know have a battle-ready army. Gabe on secondaries here, he's only got 3 in engage on all fronts. We know that while we stand, we fight is actually getting dwindled down by Morosoli, and deploy scramblers. He looks to be trying to achieve that. We both mentioned earlier that the top left-hand side is where we think those Scourges will go, and that is where he is headed there. So 20-13 in favour of Soli. Yeah, good call by us on the Scourges. We've seen how Gabe uses them pretty much in 2 other games, so we were both pretty confident he's dropping in the top left-hand corner. He's going to scramble up there. He'll use a minuscule unit of racks to scramble the mid-board. He will probably get scrambles this game. I'm kind of the belief he might not get any for while we stand, but if you notice, there's one big thing missing. That Keeper of Secrets that was at the bottom of the table next to that orange terrain piece has been picked up. Yes, it definitely has. So what do you reckon caused that? How do you think he got rid of that? It's probably just massed Venom Fire, massed Poison. I mean, the Dark Technomancer's enabling for 2 damage poison means they win that guy on 4s, or possibly, on 3s, but the +1 to wound, or possibly on 4s if it's -1 to wound from range, one of his exalted traits. So yeah, wounding it on 4s or 3s at best, and then 2 damage for each one. It probably does kill that Keeper pretty reliably. So yeah, I did not expect it to survive in that position. If it was, I thought this game would be 100% over. But as it is, those Terminators looks like they have actually made a charge. Either that, or they've made a pine or a consolidate off that middle right objective into that unit of racks. They will be picked up. They will not get much done there. Those Terminators do slice and dice through them pretty phenomenally. That beast looks like it's still in combat with that Venom on the right hand side, mate. Does that look correct to you? Yeah, it definitely does. It looks like they've trailed out a little bit as much as they can to be on the objective. But yeah, it looks like they're still in combat there. That's still alive, obviously. The left-hand side middle objective, we've seen some witches come out of that Venom in that L-shaped terrain in the middle there, and it is coming to combat there. So they're obviously trying to get some primary points away from Sully there.
Yeah, if you look to the top right, one of the Venoms that was on the right-hand side has scooted all the way up in the top right-hand corner. That one's going to sit up there. It's going to be racking up some while we stand points, probably investing into the Demonettes that are up on that side as well. I don't know what Solly has available to send back there, but there is this bracket in the middle where he can deep strike some Terminators and be able to see a bunch of different things. Admittedly, assuming that these Terminators are able to kill these racks they're in combat with. Those Terminators kill those racks. They slingshot 5 inches towards the Reaper, charge through the ruin, and they kill it dead. So I'm very interested to see what happens there.
Yeah,
I'm
that's it
wondering,
there. So
we haven't seen 2 rounds of scoring on the primary for Soli, so I'm guessing this isn't turn 3, because I'm of the opinion we would definitely be seeing another unit of Terminators hit the board. We've just seen some CP being expended, though, so interested to see where this one gets used. Surely he wouldn't have spent a CP on Veterans on a Long War to kill Rax, right? Surely not.
surely not. Surely not. I believe they would be a bit of cat and fodder there anyway. Those Terminators should be able to make light work of them. So I don't think that's what he's doing. We are seeing some saves and we will see some models removed. So we'll get a bigger picture of that in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, for sure. I'm interested to see that these boys started with a chess clock. I cannot actually see the chess clock right now. I can't see them touching it or tapping it.
No, possibly once Gabe started running out of models, he thought, well, you probably won't need this.
Yeah. So that's a unit of Rax has been picked up. Either that or he's splitting his he's splitting his attacks. That very well could have been one of his homunculuses or his succubus, and he's just splitting his attacks, 2 or 3 guys here, 2 or 3 guys here, 2 or 3 guys here. Wow, that is not a great roll by Mr. Soli. But has got rerolls to wound, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, he's going to be winning on 2s in all cases here. So yeah, wounds with all of them, because that was a really bad roll. There were all 1s and 2s. Another bunch of saves coming through for Gabe. Yeah, everything in combat with those Terminators should be killed. But yeah, if he can free up this unit of Terminators, they'll almost finish the game for him, going in and killing out that Reaper. The Lock contributing as well, probably going into the left-hand side. We could probably ditch this, come back in a couple of minutes. Let's have a quick look at the progression on the Liam Hackett game. What are you expecting to see here on the scoreboard? And how many possessed are still going to be live?
Ooh, I'm going to go with 13.
13? Yep, that's fair. Only 13 possessed left.
So let's get a bit of a count up there. So there's obviously a unit in the middle there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So yeah, my expert commentary has gone out the window. I'm very sorry to everyone at home. I'm out what to do. I am in shame.
Yeah, hang your head, mate. Not good enough. Interesting to see on the scoreboard,
not what
though,
we come
mate.
to expect at Art of War.
Check out the scoreboard. Very interesting.
It is very interesting. All right, so let's have a brief rundown. We'll start with Liam as we've done so far. So primary, he's sitting on 15. Grind him down, he's on 6. He has not yet deployed Scramblers, and he has managed to get 4 for Linebreaker. It looks like he possibly could continue to get that. So Shane Goddy, the king of the hive mind, the new king of Tyranids in Australia. He is sitting on 15 for the primary. He is 6 for engage, 10 for deploy, and he currently has not got his while we stand points. That is looking like a very small 6-point lead in favour of Shane, 41 to 35.
If you see what Shane's done as well, he charged a bunch of his units into those possessed just to break up the amount of attacks, break up their pile-ins. I think it was quite clever on his part, but unfortunately what he's done is he's left himself exposed. The Broodlord has been killed. Looks like there's a bunch of wounds that have been done on the Maliceptor and on the Malanthrope. I'm interested to see if any of these guys survive what get picked up. There goes the Malanthrope. Does he pick up the Maliceptor as well? If he does, the whole back line of the Tyranids becomes exposed. And if you'll see, I think we might have missed it before and thought they were warriors, but that unit of Hive Guard is hanging out in that what we are playing as a forest for this tournament, right in the bottom middle of the Tyranid deployment zone. If the Maliceptor does go down, those guys are kaput.
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting turn of events, has it? Because I know personally myself, I thought this was going to be a good game for Liam. I thought Liam was going to be able to just get in there early and get a nice early lead. But we've seen Shane time and time again over this weekend has just surprised me with what he is able to do with this Tyranid force.
Oh, dude, well, I think he's been very underestimated because on paper, this Tyranid loss does not look very impressive. It hasn't really got 2 of anything except Gaunts and Warriors. And so it's just like people it's just a hodgepodge. It can't be that good. And man, he is smashing dudes with it. I really like the addition of the Maliceptor now that I think about it with the -1 strength aura for people shooting into what will be a very big bubble he can put across most of his big Griblies. But they're pretty reliable. I haven't seen many people kill them with shooting at all. It's only people who've been able to kill them is punching them to death.
Yeah, definitely. That bit backed up by a bit of 6-up, feel no pain spattered
Mm.
around. It definitely makes them surprisingly a bit more durable. All right, so on the left hand side ruin there, we've just seen Liam sneak some of his possessed in there. So I was actually way off. It's actually 18 possessed that he's got left. So he's got 3 there hanging in that building. That's actually going to probably help him get that line breaker. So he's looking at getting another 4-point swing there. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some hive guards shooting into them, or even that lone cultist on the bottom left.
Well, mate, I'm of the opinion that this is the bottom of turn 2. That we're about to go into Liam's top of turn 3, and those possessed are poised to go straight into the back of that Hive Guard unit. They're probably going to stay away from the the Tyrannifex if they can, but I expect them to probably tap into him. The fact is the Maleceptor is still alive. That's actually a big deal for Shane. If the Maleceptor had gone down, I think this game would be 100% over, but the fact that he's still there means there is still some hope for the Hive Mind. He's probably going to be dead by the end of Liam's turn 3, but it means that his biggest unit of possessed is not mopping into his Hive Guard and picking them up wholesale. And I'm of the opinion, you reckon that surely that Barbed Hero Jewel kills that unit of 3 possessed and hunkers down on those objectives, right?
Yeah, that's it. I think he definitely takes care of them. So we've got something on the top right-hand side. I believe that would be the Lictor. So we're looking at Shane rack up some deploy scrambler points there as well.
He's also deep struck his, if you can see, he's also deep struck his Ripper Swarms up there as well. There will very probably be an exposed objective up there. He's deep struck down onto that, and then he's deep struck the Lictor. What looks like in No Man's Land. He'll scramble No Man's Land, and then next turn move in advance up, or just with a short move up into the deployment zone, and he'll definitely get those 10 points for he's already got 10 points for deploy scramblers, guys. They're already in.
Oh, there we go. He's locked it in. He's done.
Dude, how did he do that so quickly?
So we've just seen a score update. So I'll quickly run us through that again. We have primary now. We have Liam Hackett on 30. So he is definitely being able to rack up those high points. Grind him down. We are looking at 6 deploy scramblers is 0. We haven't seen Liam get that yet. Linebreaker is on 4, and he is currently on a total of 50. So Shane Condy with the Tyranids, he has made an additional 10 points from those deploying scramblers, as you correctly pointed out there, Adam, to be 41. So we now see a 9 points lead here in favour of Liam.
Yeah, and that's pretty much due to those 3 possessed being alive. They were able to wipe out the Gaunts that were holding that middle right objective, and so that swung what was going to be a 10-point into a 15-point, I think. It probably means they must have rolled like a 3 on their attacks and got 9 or 10 attacks. 9 attacks between the 3 of them, hitting and wounding very well. Because there is like no save on those Gaunts. They just get that feel no pain for Leviathan.
6-up, feel no pain.
Which they're probably out of range of, because you have to be within 12 inches of a character, of a Synapse creature, to get it. So maybe they were killed out of that range and they just got popped very easily.
So what are we seeing on the top right-hand side there? Is Liam actually putting some cultists down there? Is that what he's doing there on the top right-hand side? Or is that just a dead pile?
Very possibly he's got some cultists up there. That would also explain why he wants to put the Rippers there and why the Lictor is looming. He wants to get Liam off that objective if they are there. If not, it might just be a dead pile. We could be absolutely wrong.
I think it could be a dead pile. I wasn't sure if like Titled Traders or something means he's bringing them back there.
But dude, this is going to be the turn for Liam. Liam either wipes this turn or he doesn't, I think. Celeste is moving out quite aggressively. She's poised to get a pretty nice juicy charge into possibly the Hive Guard and the Tyrannifex. And if that happens, the only key piece he's going to be able to really wield next turn is going to be the Barbed Hero Jewel, who I expect to kill himself out of combat this turn. He's also got the Neurothrope. That's the Neurothrope on the bottom right-hand side, yeah? Just not on the right-hand side of the Hive Guard?
Just sitting by itself there, yep.
So, I mean, he could have some chances of killing Celeste if she takes some damage from the Tyrannifex. He can move that guy over, do a Smite, do a Psychic Scream, try and kill her out, which would lock up and leave that Tyrannifex open to double shoot with the Acid Spray, which can get pretty saucy. It is a nice amount of damage it can do to things like Possessed.
Yeah, it definitely can.
Joshua Diffie, interesting side effects of the triple table stream. Because we are watching 6 players per round, we are always showing the top tables. So we see these top players multiple times and get to see if these players learn from those losses in real time. Exactly what we're seeing from Liam. He's moving up his characters, as he didn't do versus Mr. Morosoli, which turned out to be his bane. Because through through Morosoli applying his damage in very interesting and clever ways, he was able to expose Liam on the coherency checks and killed something like 12 possessed just from coherency checks, which is a lot of points, guys, and a lot of his killing power. Where should we go from here, Nick? What do you think?
Well, we've just seen a bit of a big play there. So a big monster has just been taken from that center there. Zaleski and the possessed have actually done a fair bit of damage. So that is pretty heart-wrenching there for Shane.
Yeah, so there is a power here. Maybe he got him with smites, but what I'm thinking is he cast Hysterical Frenzy on them because they are Slanesh demons. I'm not sure if Hysterical Frenzy works on them. I'm of the opinion it does, and you can make these guys fight in the psychic phase. Someone in the chat might need to confirm that for me because I've heard Liam and R whether he was able to do it. But yeah, someone look that up and double check because if they do get Hysterical Frenzy, I think that is the death knell of Mr. Condi in this game is actually done from this position because that will mean these possessed are freed up to make a charge and literally kill all the Hive Guard and then tag off the Tyrannifex.
Yeah, that's it. So you mentioned earlier about having a look at some games. I wouldn't mind going back to Sully's game and see how that's going.
Yeah, man, I
want to get back on board the Sully Express.
See if Gabe can find a Sully solution. Because right now, no one at this event has been able to figure out what that is.
They definitely haven't. All right, so I'll fire us up a quick update on the scoreboard here. So we're looking at Sully on 20 for the primary, 3 for grind them down, 4 for engage, 6 for bring them down for a total of 33. For Gabe, we are looking at 10 on the primary, 6 for engage, 5 for while we stand. So he's actually already taken his while we stand points into consideration here, and 0 for scramblers. That's interesting that he's given himself 5 for while we stand. So he is actually coming a fair bit behind there on 33 to 21.
And we're going to be seeing, as you can see, there's one Reaper left, and it's actually been screened out quite adequately. It's got a little box made around it on multiple fronts. As you can see with those Terminators, their Terminators were unable to kill what was that last unit that was in with him. It could be that he's got the Succubus there, who has quite a good save in combat, or it's one of Homunculuses, and it's having to split so many attacks, maybe he just didn't get freed up. Sully's looking at his options down with the Lord of Change. Does he have to bring him back? I think he does have to bring him back to account for and take care of that Venom back there. Also hold down his primary, make sure Gabe stops getting these engage points also. He has his other Terminators. This is the top of turn 3. He has another Terminators that are going to be coming down this turn. Look, it's not quite in mop-up mode for Sully. There is quite a few objective secured units still left for Gabe, but he is getting bled out quite considerably. I don't think he no longer has the ability to kill the Lord of Change, to my mind. Even investing his entire army to it, I don't think he has enough damage. Those Terminators are going to be freed up next turn, and that Reaper cannot get far enough away from them that he won't be able to declare a charge with that beautiful Emperor's Children Auto 6. Where do you think the other Terminators comes down, mate?
It's basically where he sort of needs reinforcements in it. So it'd be interesting to know whether or not there is anything in the block party in the bottom left, because obviously, while there's no need to commit a giant block of Terminators to one objective, he is also able to drop down there, and he would be able to see both vehicles on the bottom right there, so he'd be able to get some more ground down points. I don't think anywhere else he really needs reinforcing. I think everything else is sort of under control. So maybe the bottom left, and that should give him clear access to sort of shuffle across from the block party all the way across to the right of our screen and continue trying to get some of those while we stand points, which obviously Gabe thinks he's already got in the bag.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I would like to see him drop on the left-hand side, shoot up, kill the Scourges. As soon as those Scourges are down, his ability to score those engagement on front points is greatly diminished. He can also use a nice double shoot. So yeah, he is falling back from that center objective. He can use a nice double shoot to kill that Venom as well to stop another engage points coming through. And then if there's anything on the bottom left-hand objective, he can charge into that and get on to that one also. There's also a unit on the middle left that he needs to pick up. So yeah, the unit Terminator is coming down onto the left-hand side. They've got a lot of DACA they can do with the double shoot. They can pick up all the relevant things on the left-hand side of the table and then by themselves pretty much hold that against any inroads Gabe may make. Big up by 12 points right now. It's probably not as big as he'd want, but naturally we know Gabe is very savvy at getting points out of these models. While they get squished, he scores a lot of points because in the last 2 games that we've called of his, he's almost been wiped in both and has still scored a really, really good, very relevant score. As we can see, there is a 9-inch stick there. So what do you reckon's down on that bottom left objective?
It's probably just like a little Venom sitting there, or maybe... Yeah, I'd say it's just a little Venom that we can't see. It must be something small. It could just be a couple of witches, because there was a Venom there earlier. Maybe that Venom's been blown up and there's just some witches there. Yeah, I'd say that's all it could be. Yeah,
they're just measuring their distances out from all available options. He'll definitely shoot up, kill the Scourges, shoot to the right, kill what's on that objective, and then more than likely he'll double shoot, try and pop that Venom to the right of the beast, and then charge into whatever's in front of him. And it boggles my brain. Yeah, this is why Terminators are so good. That one unit is going to just do so much freaking work, and it's going to hold down and take away so much scoring ability from Gabe this turn.
Yeah, that's it. It's basically completely going to clean out a flank, take 2 objectives off him, get some grinding down points. It could even be like a massive 10-point play here alone. Maybe even more, maybe a 15-point play.
Mm.
They're having a look in the chat there. War Magic, lol, I'm a Sully too. So this is getting weird, but screw it. Let's get on the Sully train. Mate, we are all aboard the Sully train. The Sully train. The next stop is Championship Town. So let's get on it. Let's all head to Champion Town with Sully.
Well, he's most likely playing into one of the players playing on table 2 next, either that being, on table 3, Mr. Benny Regretti or Brian Lakeland, depending on what their score is. They could be jumped by any of the other tables in the top 10, but more than likely to be one of the players on that table. And Matt has already beaten and played and beaten Mr. Lakeland in the Masters. And I think he actually shapes up quite well into that Imperium list. I think he does. Like, one Keeper of Secrets can easily kill 3 Pennant Engines or Mortifiers. Maybe not easily, but I would put odds to kill 2 and then, like, maul the remainder or kill all 3. Seeing the first round of shooting being racked up by these Termies, he's probably going to go half-half, like half into the Scourges, half into the what I think is a unit of racks on that middle left objective. They should be picked up pretty easily with Veterans of the Long War, wounding them on 3s and then 2s into the Scourges.
Yeah, very appreciative of Matt there, pointing out exactly what he's doing, making it very beneficial for us here.
Here comes the Feel No Pains.
Both of the opinion here that both these units will be completely removed?
I am very much of the opinion. Through the use of the Storm Bolters, these guys have low saves and a low toughness. Well, the racks are toughness 4, but they're all having low saves. Pretty much. He's just got the density of fire in that unit that just gets a lot of work done. He's got a couple of...
The Scourges here, that's probably the main unit I'd want removed. I'd want to be shooting them first and making sure they're gone. If 1 or 2 was to remain, I'd probably double shoot them again, because them going behind that building actually proves quite a problem there for Matt.
It does. They need to go down this turn. If they're able to shoot behind themselves and get down there, he's going to have to turn around a whole big fatty unit that he doesn't want to have to get them taken care of. They're going to be winded on 2s though, and they've only got a 4+ save. Or they might actually, they've only a 5+. They have a 4+ save in the cover. But yeah, they're going to die. He's probably paying 1 CP to give them a +1 to their save. So maybe right now they'll have a 3+. I think that's a good call if he's doing that.
Yeah, that's it. You mentioned earlier that we could not account for the 10 cultists that are in Matt's list. They possibly are on the bottom of that building. Would that be a good call?
Yeah, I think that is a pretty good call. I'm iffy on the order of operations there. I'm not sure that Gabe can wait to see how many wounds he's taken before he takes his +1 save. It's not +1 save, by the way. It's you get an extra benefit from cover. Cover gives you +2 to save rather than +1.
We're starting to see some model removes, but he has only removed 1 model so far.
There's only one
Scourge unit.
Only 1 Scourge dead. They might be getting the full investment of the Terminators next in his second round of fire, as in every single Terminator might go into him, now that he's double buffed them. Because I think Gabe's making the right judgment, yeah? Those Scourges being alive is just the biggest possible pain in the neck for Matt.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely 100% is, because like you mentioned, he's going to have to turn that bigger Terminator unit up and go towards the top of the table there and make a beeline for them. Interesting to see Gabe is pointing a fair bit to this unit on the that left-hand side objective. I wonder if Sully's chosen to do a split fire here.
Yeah,
and very interesting choice.
I saw some models get removed from the block party, didn't we? We saw a handful of models get picked up. That could very well be that first unit, that got done. And he might be going into his second round of shooting now. Looks like there's 1 rack left on that middle left objective. Second round of shooting is probably going to put, it might just put the Reaper autocannons that he's got in there into that single rack, and then every single Stormbolter goes into the Scourges. But I think that would be a mistake. The mistake is probably to put the Rend 2 wounding on 2s Reaper autocannons into the Scourges. Or maybe he's just decided, I just need to charge those Scourges now. I'm not going to kill them now with a 3+ save, and they got all that goodness. So maybe, he's just going to charge them. Which would be...
Yeah, I'll just point out that chess clock has made a reappearance in the center of the table there too.
What are we looking at? What can you see on there? I can see, I think it's 40 minutes for both players.
What have I got? Yeah, it's a bit of a blur for me. I can't quite make that out. Let me make it a bit bigger on my screen here.
I actually think it's 24 or 34 minutes for Matt, and something in the region of 41 minutes for Gabe. Naturally, Matt is
it's definitely 24 for the top there.
Matt is having his top of turn 3, so definitely not a big deal there. 24 minutes is more than enough for him to do what he needs to do in this game. And I've seen Matt turn it on. He might be a big lad, he might be the plague Hulk, but man, he motors when he needs to.
He chucks some more coal into that Solly Express and he gets his motor going.
Sorry?
He gets some more coal going into that motor of his and he gets the Solly Express chugging along.
It is 24 to 38 on that chess clock. Just a lovely Chelsea doing the good work for us.
Well done.
I'm going to stick around here to see the rest of this shooting phase, just to see where his second round of shooting goes. Looks like that's what he's about to rack up now. I would like to see all the Ripper autocannons, the 2 Ripper autocannons in that unit go into the Scourges. We'll take them back to their 5+ save from their 3+, and they're quite likely through those 8 shots to hit on 2s, wound on 2s, pick them up. You probably add 2 or 3 Stormbolters to that mix, and then all the rest of the fire just picks up the racks on the left and middle objective.
That unit of cultists that we're thinking could possibly be behind the building there, do they have some pistols or something on them? Could they chuck a couple of extra shots into them?
Yeah, if there's a unit of cultists there that did not get picked up last turn, because with them dropping down there, you think Gabe wouldn't take the chance of trying to shoot and kill those and then get killed in return. He would have just shot. He would have just done scramblers, right? He would have just jumped down there, done scramblers.
He would have definitely done scramblers. Yeah.
He was seeing a bunch of Stormbolters going into those now, wounding them on 2s. 3+ saves coming through for Gabe. We'll see how many of these guys survive. It's a lot of saves, guys. He's only got 3 guys left. Has he only failed 1 of the 3+? No, he's failed 3. Oh, he might have 1 or 2 left. All 3 might be dead. He only lost 1.
Tense moment in this, because this is actually a big deal in this game.
He failed 3. He CP reeled 1, and he made a 6 on another one for the Feel No Pains. So yeah, there's still 2 Scourges left. That is real frustrating. I think he's going to charge him. I think he's going to have to charge him, man.
You think he's going to charge? Do you think he's going to be able to get on top of that? How high is that building there? It's a bit difficult to look at home. Here it looks quite tall, maybe like 3 levels high.
At least 9, possibly even 12. But with the 5-inch vertical engagement, he doesn't need to get all the way up to him. He can just get within 5 inches. So it would be... Well, if it's an 11, which I think is somewhere in the region of 10 or 11, it's actually all Solly needs to do is roll a 4 on one of his dice, and he'll get within 5 inches of the vertical. Because he's probably around 6 or 7 inches away from the base, and then if it's 12 inches high, he needs to get 6 or 7 up. Actually, it actually could be an 11 or a 12, to be honest. So that means that
it looks like it'd be quite a big charge.
Looks like that charge is quite unlikely. But man, Gabe rolled like a beast on those saves, man. Like a
Definitely
beast.
did. Hats off. Hats off to him on that one.
Looks like we're having some charges come through. There's something on the top right-hand corner objective that did just get charged by the Chaos Sorcerer. Looks like we're going in for the big charge now into the Scourges or into the other one. Looks like he's just CP re-rolled one of those dice and he got a freaking 6. So it's a 12-inch charge he's able to do now, and he's going straight down there.
Solly is throwing those Terminators into the block party. That is making me a very happy man here. Well done. Well done, Solly.
Yeah, you got to get on the block party. And if you'll see, with the last piece of his minuscule shooting, he did pick up that single rack that was on the middle left-hand objective. So he's not doing exactly everything he wanted to do. Gabe, being very clever and savvy with his CP rerolls and with his stratagems, has ensured that the Scourges have survived. Actually, kind of a big deal. The only real way he's going to be able to take care of him now that he's made that charge is literally by like kind of move advancing the keeper as though the lock for a turn or 2, and then just like bolter changing him and smiting him, I guess. Because I don't think he can.
Or even possibly if there is that unit of cultists there which are unsure, they might be making a charge in there. We have seen some cultists do some work throughout the weekend for Liam and Solly, so that could be an option.
Versus Liam charged 10 cultists into the Scourges and killed all 5. Solly shoots 20 essentially 20 Terminators into the Scourges. Never heard of you, mate. Go home.
Yeah, that's it. We were just touting how good Terminators were a minute ago because they could kill multiple units, but now they're having to rely on the cultists to do their dirty work.
Oh, they're going to be killing 3 units this turn, and they just fell short of killing the 4th. I mean, get out that small violin, guys. Poor Master Morosoli. So good. Which game should we jump to? This one's coming to a bit of a head.
We haven't seen Brian and Ben for a while, so let's have a look there. Let's see if he's able to get some of those mortifiers to live, or if Brian has got those troops spread out all over the table there.
Absolutely. We've got that transition should be coming up for you guys any second now.
Ooh,
but
yes,
this one could be tight. This one could be very tight. Brian pulling ahead a little bit on the scoreboard. Let us know how that's sitting. What are you seeing there, brother?
Oh, sorry. So currently we have Ben representing the Imperium here, sitting on 15 for primary. He has 0 for Assassinate. He has 0 for While We Stand and 4 for Engage on all fronts, for a total of 19 running into Brian, who is on 10 for primary. 4 for Linebreaker, 0 for Raise the Banners, which is very interesting, and 11 for Bring It Down, for a total of 25 to 19 in favour of Brian.
Yeah, very, very interesting. That big unit of troop that he had on the bottom, just below that big box to the left of center, that looks to be picked up. Or if there is a unit there, there's one model left there in combat with that pennant engine or mortar. I expected him to run away from that combat after he finished those guys off and just dive up in the top left hand corner. But yeah, it doesn't look like that's what he's done. It looks like we're into the start of Brian's turn 3. Actually, no, it would be the start of Brian's turn. Yeah, Brian's turn 2.
Yeah, Brian's turn 2, yeah.
Yeah, because he hasn't got 2 rounds of scoring yet. So he's just pulled up his first 10 on primary. Another swathe of Harlequins
Yeah, that's
being pulled
100%.
out. Yeah, another swathe of Harlequins being pulled out of that bottom left-hand corner ruin. Where are they going? Are they going to get Twilight Pathways and go for a big play into one of the Telemons, or are they just going straight up the guts, try and clear the Grav tank and that last Mortifier? What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to do some kind of play. They're going to have to go after that Mortifier. They're going to have to do something because Bentner's got a pretty handy lead here on objectives-wise. So you see that Palace there, that's going to have to be removed. The Mortifier, like you mentioned, that's going to have to be removed. While he does not have a lot of units here, he seems to be a lot of his smaller units are in key positions.
And I can tell you right now, Brian's like end of game jank going second will be very big. We'll see quite a significant shift if he has any density of units left. Quite a big shift at the bottom of the last turn. Things are looking pretty thin. They're not looking especially dense for the Imperium player. It looks like he's got like 3 suits left from the sister side of things. One Palace Grav tank. The other one has been picked up, which is pretty cute. That one was sitting perched atop that terrain piece in the orange tip of that terrain piece in the bottom of Liam's deployment zone. Yeah, 2 Telemons and Trajan. At this point, with the diminished resources I think Brian has, I don't think he kills any of the Telemons now.
No, well, I was just about to point out that 5 that you and I are both believing that was an objective marker may have just been a stray dice because that is not on either of the Telemons. So it looks like both Telemons are still at full strength.
I'd be concerned whether or not he has the time now and the damage to either kill either of them. So we might be seeing a nice comfortable 15 for Benjamin on that. As for, which will be good because our dad is going to get any on Assassinate. I think Brian is being given a premium, giving a premium reason to not expose any characters to his opponent. And yeah, I think Humbling Cruelty, we might need to get the ruling on Humbling, get some info on Humbling Cruelty. Can that affect anything? I know can that affect vehicles? Can that affect monsters? Like, is that able to stop and slow down these Telemons or any of this stuff? Or is it just for infantry?
I'm not sure. So if someone in the chat wants to give us a head spin on that one, that would be helpful.
Yeah, give us a head spin. Everyone loves a head spin.
So
Josh,
is that a bunch of troops on the bottom left-hand side there? Is that what he's got there? So are the majority of those characters remaining hidden in that bottom left piece of the ruin?
I would assume so, mate. It looks like in the top left-hand corner, I expect to see some troop arrive there, either being slung with Twilight Pathways into that top left-hand corner, because that seems like it's another weak side that he could exploit. The other one is in the top right-hand corner. As long as he's behind that blue piece of terrain, there's no Telemon, there's no nothing that's going to be able to shoot him up there. That's another, if I could put up some memes on the thing, Brian would be thinking, that's free real estate, because it absolutely is. I suppose that is the risk and reward of playing an army that literally has no chill, and everything in it is just super stompy, super killy. I'm going to sling things over to you now, brother. I might check us back to our... Actually, no, you keep calling this one. I'm going to jump out for a one little moment, run to the toilet, and be right back. But yeah, carry this bad boy for us for a minute, Nick.
Yeah, no worries at all, mate. And like you're mentioning about that free real estate on the top right-hand corner of that blue building, the only real way Ben has to counter that is to send Trajan in there. So it's going to take too many turns and too many time for those Telemons to be able to get around there. So he's looking at the only way he can deal with that is to get Trajan in there. So we got a bit of action going on the bottom left-hand side of the table here. We're seeing some, I believe, players trying to make some little melter shots at the Palace and the Mortifier. We have seen one of the Mortifiers that was remaining there be removed, so that's obviously been a big play because that's more likely going to do a lot more damage than that Palace is based on how many attacks it has and the shooting also. So that's a good play there by Brian. We've had some comments in the chat there, so having a look through. Josh S. has asked, Adam, what's the deal with the NID list that's been playing super well so far? Mate, the deal with that NID list is pretty powerful. It's pretty strong. It's a bit of a hodgepodge of units. We've seen a lot of gaunts. The main thing we've seen from it is Shane piloting it so well. He's been able to pick great secondaries. He's been able to attack the primaries and keep key units of his army alive. And he's been picking out pieces as we go. Things like the Hive Guard has actually been great targets from him. He's been taking out everything he needs to bang on. So looking at the next question we have, Joshua Diffie, any thoughts on why Marines isn't at the pointy end of the tournament like we are seeing elsewhere in the world. So chat, get on in there. Let us know, why do you think Marines aren't in there? We know right now currently Marines are touted. Blood Angels in particular are being touted as one of the top tier armies, if not the top tier armies in the game. So in Australia, we're not currently seeing that. They are definitely one of the best. Probably Sisters are up there. We're seeing a lot of Orcs currently do quite well, based actually on the players that are piling them lists. Throughout the top tables here on this event, Chaos Space Marines have actually been commanding the top. Then with some demons, we've seen Matt Morrisoli, the Soli Express. He's been leading the charge here with a bunch of different Terminators, a bunch of Keepers, and some Lords of Change, where Liam has been the other player that's been dominating as well, and he's been doing that with some big units of Possessed, a big Word Bearer Legion there. So that's been very interesting. Diffy's also got, is it simply our top players have decided not to play them, and the top players get results regardless? So yeah, that's something very true. Adam and I have definitely pointed out that Soli's list and Liam's in particular has been geared sort of to be able to fight Marines. So they've got a lot of flat 2 damage coming out of those Possessed units. So they've actually been able to deal with Marines quite easily as well. And the next one, adaptive subroutines. I suggested that, and Facebook yelled at me. Yeah, that's what you get for communicating with people on Facebook. Come to the chat here with us. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, and we can all have a nice friendly chat here. Is that right, Adam?
Yeah. Yeah, please join and get involved. It's a wonderful community we've got growing with the Art of War, and the more the merrier. It can only get bigger and better from here. As to the question on why Marines aren't being taken, pretty much a bunch of the better Marine players aren't playing. Hayden Waldock didn't make it down. Luke Pierce is playing with the list he would have been taken to this. Luke Pierce is doing very, very, very well for some of his first games in 9th edition. But yeah, a lot of the better Marine players either jumped off them or have actually left. I mean, Mr. Marigold was playing Marines to quite great effect. He took a loss in round 5. But we have just jumped over to the Liam Hackett Shane Condi game, man. This looks like this one is all done and dusted. Give us a rundown of what happened on the scoreboard.
Okay, so scoreboard-wise, we're looking at Liam Hackett. He has taken it. He has maxed out on the primary there at 45 there. Grind them down. He's actually maxed that out as well, so that's a 15. Deploy Scramblers, he's maxed that out for a 10. And Linebreaker, he's maxed that out for a 15 as well. So very interesting there, and very common thing we're seeing from Liam there. He has gone to 95 points, which is actually one of his lowest scores, believe it or not. So Shane Condi has done quite well. So Shane Condi's coming on 30 on the primary. He's gone 10 for Engage. He's gone 10 for Deploy Scramblers, but he's only able to get 5 on While We Stand, We Fight. So he's just fallen quite behind on the primary and a bit of a While We Stand for a 65. So a 30-point win there for Liam Hackett.
Showing a little bit of forethought by Mr. Condi. He's realised his Barb Hero Duel is actually got some odds to go down against a full big unit of Possessed and a bunch of characters. So rather than knowing that the game is cooked, the game is over, and knowing that battle points at the end of this is really a big decider, because there's going to be so many players on 6 and 2 at the end of this, that just keeping any extra points in the bag, running that Barb Hero Duel away to make sure he retains 5 points more than he would have at the end. Yeah, very clever, very savvy play by him. And yeah, well done against Liam.
Yeah, that's it.
The man with no chill.
Yeah, that is it. And that is how I like to see my Tyranids personally running away in fear. That is the best Tyranid. That is the best Tyranid for me. Well, yeah, and like you said, hats off to Liam. So actually, looking at this score, though, that actually puts a fair bit of pressure on our man, the Soli Express. Yeah. He has continued his way onto a big win.
Exactly right. And we're just seeing we're into the bottom of turn 3, and look at the scoreboard there. Gabe has tied it up, 36-36. Give us the breakdown, mate.
All right, no worries. So it is massive important in this game. So Matt Morrisoli currently coming first in our tournament here. He is sitting on 20 for the primary. He's on 3 for grind him down. He has got 7 for engage on all fronts and 6 for bring it down for a total of 36. Primary for Gabe Dello, the Jukari Archon himself. He is sitting on 15 on primary, 6 for engage, 5 for While We Stand, and 10 for Deploy Scramblers. So very interesting to see. The game is not finished, but he's put 5 down for deploy there, and he's got him in the bottom right-hand corner, cowering, isn't he?
Yeah, so he's already put himself down 5 for While We Stand. He's got his Deploy Scramblers. Naturally, the Scourge is surviving. If they did shoot last turn, they would have got that deployed this turn. Matt's looking a little bit stretched thin now. That unit of Terminators, I don't know how in hell he's been able to do so much damage to them, but there's only 1 left there. That is astonishing to me. I wouldn't have thought that was a possibility for him. Yeah, do that much damage.
I wouldn't have either. Gabe does have some bikes and some witches and whatnot sitting in front of that building there. It could be a case of there is something behind that building that we cannot see. Who knows? There could be 3 or 4 Venoms. We know that the Dark Eldar like to jam their vehicles in nice and tight, hidden behind walls and whatnot.
Yeah.
So that could be a case.
Either
What are you
that,
seeing on the left-hand side of the table there, Adam?
yeah, so one of the Raider and the Venom that was there have jumped over back onto that middle left-hand objective to deny it to Soli, because naturally I think it only has one beast touching it, so they will deny it to Soli. Naturally, Soli would have wanted to shoot and kill that Venom in his turn. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to. But in all reality, those Terminators will mop up what's on the bottom left-hand side, and they'll re-pivot back up there and should clear that off in short order. We've got a Venom at the top that the Keeper and the Sorcerer were unable to kill. So not the Keeper, the Lock. The Lock will get him next turn almost certainly. But what is interesting now, I don't think he gets that last Reaper, does he? Like,
No, he definitely doesn't. Without you and I were both under the impression that would be Gonski's, that the Terminators would be able to shoot it down and then make a way through the building there and tag it, but that is not going to be an option anymore.
Yeah, agree. So maybe that Reaper did shoot into those Terminators and do a hellacious amount of damage. Of course, it can have 6 shots, hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, and taking him to his invuln save. So maybe he just flubbed everything and the guy killed 6 of them by himself, and maybe it's just been some few pinch hitting 2 damage poison shots to do the rest. But look, there is still the option that Lock does go down into the bottom right, does manage to get a big chunky charge off against them. But the tide might be turning against Mr. Morrisoli. The primary by Gabe is still being played exceptionally well, which is to everyone's frustration so far. I think Gabe is rolling extremely well on a lot of his saves, extremely well. To his benefit,
that is definitely true, and we saw that for those Scourges, and those Scourges are actually still sitting on the objective on that top left. So, like you mentioned earlier, that is something that he's engaged in all fronts. He actually has a unit in every quarter so far, so it looks like he can continue to get a 3-point swing each turn on engage, and he has performed that deploy scrambler, so that is done. But the primary is also racking up, like you mentioned.
And he's charging off this Terminator. He's going to be getting a pylon and a consolidate. That's probably going to get him onto this objective to deny it from Matt. So in Matt's turn, I think he might only get 10 on the primary, holding the one in the top right and right down all the way in the bottom left. These Terminators, though, are going to be clearing off this Raider and Venom pretty easily, and then I think Gabe will lose his ability to stop Matt possibly getting 15s for the last and maxing his primary, which I believe is what is going to be happening. But man, the fact that those Terminators went down, and he's going to have those 5 on while we stand, and he's going to be racking up another minimum 2 on engage. I don't think he's getting 3 on engage this turn. I can't see him having anything in the bottom left-hand quadrant, unless there's something we've missed down there.
Unless there's something in combat with those Terminators there.
Exactly right. Measuring out.
So another interesting note there, the shot clock there. So Matt is down to 18. It looks like where Gabe is on 25 minutes there. So while we do have 45 minutes left, the clock is sort of winding down in Soli's favour. Well, not in Soli's favour, sorry, but like winding down faster for Soli than it is for Gabe.
Yeah, so interesting thing to know here that Beasts can heroically intervene. And so I think they were just measuring to make sure that Venom on the left-hand side was indeed outside 3 inches. And I think they're just talking...
That could be a bit of a speed bump that Soli needs to help try and get into that Raider down the bottom right.
I think they're just talking out a bit of order of operation stuff, and whether or not with his charge he can get on that objective. I think Matt is of the opinion he can't get on that objective.
Possibly he wants to stay out of heroic range, like you've mentioned there. So to be on that objective, he will be within heroic range, and Matt will be able to tag him. So that's not something Gabe wants.
I think that's what they're discussing there. I think, although if he kills the Terminator, it's like there's no way that he keeps them from getting the consolidate on there, and then of course he won't touch anywhere near the possessed. Anywhere near the beasts. But it looks like definitely whatever argument Soli's laid down is definitely true and correct, because he has not done the consolidate, the pylon on there. I think it's because they've done a measurement that any pylon he makes onto there, the beast will be within an inch to activate. So yeah, maybe Gabe is looking to hopefully just kill this guy and get another part of that unit, that scrum, onto the objective in a different portion. Because right now, that consolidate would be moving them away from the Terminator to get around to the other side and then to be able to get onto the objective. So an interesting bit. I think that was correct. Because if he went to the other side of it, he still wouldn't be, that 25 mil wouldn't get him onto the objective, and then he'd have to move away from the Terminator in order to actually get onto it. So maybe he has to kill him in order to actually get on the objective. And I think that is true and correct to my sight and what I can see right there. But man, 36
Yeah,
to
I
36.
believe so as well.
A
And
bit
it is
closer.
gone, so that Terminator is gone, and we are seeing a bit of a shuffle up. So yeah, now he is on the objective there. So just quickly, War Magic is in the chat has asked how many more rounds left. There is this one and one more to go. So this is the penultimate round, and we will have the final round.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, and like I've already mentioned a few times, yeah, definitely stay around, definitely hang around, because we are not done yet. Because while even if Solly is managed to win this, we know the 95 that Liam Hackett has just got him possibly even closer on battle points again.
Yeah.
So he could be actually ahead of Solly on battle points come the end of this. And if Solly is able to, if someone else is to pop Solly and derail the Solly Express, we could see Liam Hackett jump frog in there and become the Open champion.
Exactly right. We're seeing the scores getting updated now. Both of them in score. So 2 more points coming down for Engagement Fronts for Gabe, and 3 points for Grind Them Down coming in for Matt. Matt should easily be able to get should be pretty close to getting another 3 against Gabe on the Engagement Fronts front. And I believe we've just seen Matt moving some models in the top left-hand corner, so there might still be cultists left there to kill those Scourges. That would be a huge boon for Matt, not having to send something like the Lock back there to get that work done. He's measuring the charge right now to see what he has to do with this Lock to get close to the Reaper. And of course, these beasts are going to be dogpiling all over these racks, trying to do as much damage as they can and get them cleared, get them down. Solly needs a big turn here. He's currently sitting third up on the primary. He's sitting up by 10 points. He needs to clear Gabe off his primary now. He has good odds to do it, doesn't he, though?
Yeah, definitely does. So the bottom left-hand side, we're just seeing those Terminators move up. So they're actually going to make a bit of a play to remove the vehicles that we're sitting down there, which will actually also help on the grind them down. So Solly has lots of points available in this turn from that Terminator unit. So he's looking at a 5-point swing on the primary alone, and then he's actually looking at 3 points there for the grind them down.
Yeah, 3 points to grind them down, 3 points for engage, and bring it down. We'll probably cash in at least 1 more point, if not 2 more points this turn.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. And like you've mentioned already, that Lord of Change seems to be going in there. That seems to be maybe like a bit of a too big of a charge here for this turn. So I'd say he's looking at getting some smites off and then positioning himself for a next turn charge. Would you agree with that?
The sorcerer in the top right. Or you mean the Lord
sorry,
of
so
Change?
that Lord of Change. Yeah, the Lord of Change is
yes,
there on
of
the
course.
right-hand side.
Yeah. Look, I'm of the opinion, you see there's some wound dice done on that Reaper.
Yep.
I think he wants to smite. It looks like there's a unit on the bottom there below the Lord of Change. What he's probably going to do is probably going to put some mortal wounds, a bolt of change into that Reaper, a smite into the racks to the left of him, charge into the unit below, clear them off that objective, and hopefully take away some of Gabe's primary. So right now, Gabe could very much lose everything he has on the middle left objective. He could lose what he has on the middle right objective, and he could lose the Scourges on the top left. If that happens, he's kind of might get a 0 primary turn, guys. He might get 0 on his primary if the Scourges go down, especially. That would be 100% game losing.
Yeah, that's it. And we have seen a lot of cultists do a lot of damage here. So I'm expecting those cultists to take care of those Scourges at the top. Surely the hot dice from Gabe cannot continue what we've seen in the previous turns.
Yeah, exactly right. The fact that they didn't get pulled down last turn is actually incredible, considering I think they rolled somewhere in the region of 33 plus saves, and he only killed 3 of them. Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, good on him. I think
that's it. So George G in the chat has pointed out lots of common threads in these top armies: cheap objective grabbers, solid hammer units, and threat overload. And durability and lots of it. Yeah, that is definitely something we found. What are your thoughts on that, Adam?
Yeah, absolutely right. So Gabe's pretty much playing this game to really just get 15 off while we stand and then just smash his opponent on the primary. I do think this is my criticism of 9th edition. Like, Gabe has pretty much picked exactly the same primaries every single game. He's played the exact same game every single game. And at some point, I think people are just going to get bored. At least that's my perspective. People are just going to be like, it's just the same game every game. I play against the same opponent, playing the same style list, playing the same secondaries. I really want to see a complete revamp of the secondaries. That Venom in the top has just been smited to death by the Chaos Sorcerer in the top right-hand corner. Very, very important for Matt to get that down. That's a bring it down point. And that's securing his top right-hand objective.
Just touching back there, you mentioned that some of these games could become very samey. Yeah, that is definitely something that I thought at the start of the edition. And you were mentioning that it needed a complete overhaul, possibly. Even just small changes, like if we look at the FAQ recently, that come out, and the small change of While We Stand, which has gone from single models to units. That alone has changed a lot. So I know as a Custodes player, previously I could take While We Stand, We Fight, and that would be a couple of characters that I had sitting around, which was very good. But now the Alaris unit that I would have and be using as a bit of a throwaway with all of its buffs, I now know I need to play that completely different. So even just small changes like that could be enough to change the way we're playing.
A question in the chat, Bulldog 0013. Adam, how are you how are your DA looking? Anything you're looking forward to in the new supplement? Oh man, I really want Black Knights to be good. I've got all the Terminators in the world. I've got Talon Masters. I've got Dreads. I've got all the infantry and the troops I'll ever need. Give me a reason to take Black Knights. I've just picked up 20 of the damn things in a trade with a mate. I want a reason to paint them all. Give me some impetus, G-Dub. Give me something to be excited about. But then being Obsec is pretty good. But for 45 points, I'm not sure I can get behind taking him en masse, and that's I think is the issue. But apart from that, dude, I'm really pumped for the new Psychic discipline they might have. I think if it's as good as it was last one, and just being able to sling a lot of debuffs here, there, and everywhere will be very, very exciting for us. Solly doing his shooting phase. Looks like he's put his Reaper autocannons into the Venom. It looks like he's putting all his heavy bolters, all his storm bolters into the Raider. He was doing a bunch of measuring before to see where the units inside the Raider would be able to disgorge themselves, whether they'll be able to get out of line of sight. And because of the clever placement of his Beast of Nurgle there, and then not being able to deploy within an inch of it, he's of the opinion they can't get out of line of sight, and if they do, they will be touching the wall. And if touching the wall, then naturally they can still be seen, and Solly will still be able to shoot him dead. So I think he's primed himself up to do pretty well on that front.
Definitely got him there waiting for mob patrol. So he's going to try and use those Terminators to bust open the cans, and those the beasts are sitting there waiting to gobble up those sardines that come out of the cans.
The sardines that come out of the cans. We'll transition over to the Brian Lakeland Benny Regretti game, and we'll see what the lay of the land is there. Because I think we'll have seen some score updates. Those guys, I feel
we definitely have.
Yeah, I'm worried these guys won't finish their round because I feel like they're only in like the bottom of turn 3. Possibly. But what are you seeing here, mate?
All right, so I'll just give the run through of the scores. Thank you to BCP for allowing us to be able to do that. Benjamin is sitting on 30 for the primary, 0 for Assassinate, 0 for While We Stand, and 10 for Engage on all fronts, for a total of 40 there. Brian is on 30 for primary, 8 for Linebreaker, 4 for Raising Banners, and 11 for Bring It Down, for a total of 53. So we're seeing a small 13-point gap starting to increase there for Brian. Neither of these players have put in their battle ready points, but both, I believe, should be getting them. Is that correct, Adam?
Oh, absolutely. Both will be getting them. What's interesting here is that there is 100% going to be 15 points at a swing towards Benny Regretti at the end, because I'm pretty sure neither Telemon or Valoris will be going down this game. So 15 points swinging at the end. So he, in reality, is up by 2 points on Brian, which is actually very, very interesting. Brian having the bottom turn will get a big sling onto objectives. I expect him to be maxing his primary, which might be what ends up winning him the game. And yeah, he's definitely playing very defensively, playing for that bottom of turn 2.
It'll be interesting to see, because I don't actually see Ben not maxing out on primary as well. So we've got that top left-hand side. Does it look like that Canoness is still there? There is a bit of cluster going on that table.
Yeah, it looks like the Canoness is still there, and it definitely looks like there's a unit of Mortifiers still up there as well, which we were unaccounting for before. It's definitely...
That's it. So he'll have that one. He's also got both Telemons are sitting on top of an objective as well. So that's 3 for Ben. So I think we're also going to see a 15-point game here for Ben. So it's very likely that both players will max out 45 on the primary.
If they do, it's really going to come down to, the 15 for While We Stand is definitely going to come through. And it's whether or not Assassinate, getting a 0 on Assassinate, or maybe 3 or 6 points on Assassinate, is enough to sink the good ship Brian Lakeland.
Dude, I don't think we are. While we've mentioned there that Ben is able to cap out on those primaries, the resources that he's using to do that means he more than likely won't be able to go in there and get majority of those assassinates. So that is very interesting there.
Yeah, I think the assassinates is probably going to go begging. And if he gets any, it's probably only going to be 3 points, unfortunately. I expect...
Sorry? It is a bit of an interesting choice here, that Assassinate. You mentioned it earlier. While on paper, a lot of those Harlequin characters do look very squishy, they do have the ability to hide and not get shot, don't they?
Yeah, they can just jank themselves around the table, all sorts of places around the table, especially with things like Twilight Pathways as well. You think they might be overreaching or exposing themselves, and then they just leapfrog into a whole new side of the table that you didn't really see coming.
They are, with all their 4-up invulnerables as well, they are quite surprisingly durable. So there are a lot of times you might get some attacks on them, but because they're all having their 4-up invo, that also, well, sometimes we know a 4-up invo could basically seem like a 2-up and you just don't fail it.
Exactly right, dude. Looking in the bottom right-hand corner of this table, there is a single Sisters Walker in that terrain piece. So you're actually really right. Ben is going to 100% max his secondary, his primary. He's holding easily four of the objectives right now. Whether he has anything in the top right-hand corner, we're not too sure. But yeah, not looking great for Brian on that front. I do expect to see some magic from Brian. Whether it's going to be enough to bridge the gap between the 15 points coming in for while we stand is, yeah, still going to be the head scratcher. We want to jump back to the solely Gabe game. This one doesn't seem to be...
I'm just going to bow out for a couple of minutes there, Adam.
No stress at all, man. This one does seem to be less action-packed and a little bit more cagey from Brian, because naturally he has everything to lose if he does get up and get active. Big charge by Matt. Means that those Terminators have now killed that Venom. Another point on Bring It Down. Going into the Raider with the two Beasts. Pretty sure he doesn't want to kill this Raider if it is full of OBSEC models. If he hasn't killed it, that is good. He's going to absolutely be ruining Gabe on the primary, with Gabe maybe only getting 5 points. The Scourges are still alive in the top left-hand corner. Not good, but maybe there are actually no cultists back there and he was just moving some dice around. So that one is interesting. Yeah, the scoreline hasn't been updated too much. It was pretty much where we left it before, with a 12-point lead to Matt, but we haven't gone into the bottom of turn 4 for Gabe. Some wounds being done on these beasts, pretty minuscule, pretty, how you doing? Not much going on there. These beasts do need to clear off that unit to deny that objective to Gabe. Looks like he's lost a beast. I wonder what is doing that damage, man. Is that his succubus maybe in combat? She is quite choppy. But man, that lock needs to do some heavy lifting as well. It looks like some more wounds have been done on that beast. That beast is now piled in. Matt's going to be doing his attacks. 9 minutes remaining for Matt, so pressure is on the scoreboard. But this was his top of turn 4, so he isn't going to have a hell of a lot to do. Rolling for attacks. Sorry, looks like he's actually taken a wound on one of the beasts in combat from the Raider. The Raider being an absolute baller. Yeah, looks like we're going up CP wise. Going to have the scores chucked in for Matt. We'll see how he did in his top of turn 4. Going into Gabe's bottom of turn 4. 20 minutes left on the scoreboard for him. 30 minutes left in the round. So the clock is dead bang on for what we can expect in the rest of this game. Looks like I'm not sure if he's got any OBSEC on that middle right objective. I think he might have been zoned off. It could be that there's a single rack on there. Onto the
looked like those beasts may be blocking the line there.
I would have thought they'd be blocking it off because whatever was in combat with him was good enough to kill one beast and then put some wounds on another one. And racks do not do that to beasts. There's no way, no how. Scores are coming in for Matt. 51. He's got 2 more on engage. What has he held up to? He's just held up something up to the screen.
Mum.
Is that his mum calling?
Mum's calling
his mum's calling him. No, just wants to show us. Going into the primary. 5-point turn on the primary for Gabe. Solely held into a 5. It's impossible for Gabe to max his score on primary now. That is a huge deal. I cannot overstate how big a deal that is for Matt. 5-point turn on the primary to Gabe, and he has the bottom of turn. Wowee, wow. Impressive turn. Matt is probably going to get, I assume Matt is going to get 40 points for his primary. He's going to hold the bottom left-hand side. He's going to hold the top right. That is a minimum of 10 points. Whether he holds more when Gabe disembarks his unit of OBSEC from that Raider remains to be seen. He's checking his disembark from that Raider, I think, or is he checking his fallback?
Yeah, well, it looks like it has popped there, so it looks like it could be. I'm sorry to take away from that, but I'm very interesting. So I've just been gone, obviously, for a little bit here. So this law to change here, we didn't actually see it do what we thought it was going to do there, Adam, have we?
No, I was unsure whether there was anything on the bottom right-hand objective. He may have smited into it. He may have done a bolt of change into it and seen that he didn't do enough damage and decided to go into the middle, the more important portion, because of course the beasts are like they're a very skewy combat unit into things like racks. They can roll sixes for how many attacks they get, or they can roll ones. So maybe you just want to shore up and get rid of that obstacle. But maybe there is nothing on the bottom right hand objective, and we're just not seeing
that's
it.
a very good point. Yeah, I just thought maybe he would have been definitely trying to get rid of that while we stand. It could just be me now that Gabe's already put it in. I mean, if I was his opponent, I'd be like, okay, yeah, right. Well, I'm coming to get that 5 points, mate.
We're just seeing so much stuff for Gabe. Look, there's another unit being disgorged from somewhere on the table. I believe it
just seems to be coming out of that bush in the center of the table.
Just spawned from the bush. No, I think that's what he was measuring from that radar. I think he's paid CP for an auto advance. I think, but I'm not sure why he would do that. There could be the red grief witches, which would make sense if they're the red grief witches. They get quite a big move when they get out of things.
And Soli has just picked up the terrain piece and just smashed it into Gabe's.
Oh, dude!
That is what we like to see.
Dude, Soli, the Soli Express just chewing through the battlefield.
He seems to have only damaged his model, so that's good for Soli there.
Liam is the best, says George. Dropped 44 points out of 700 in the Open. He is not even mortal. No, he is not mortal. He has no chill. Cannot hold back. Cathal Mulverena, sup Adam, keep up the good work, lads. Looking forward to catching up tomorrow. Much love from Belfast Island. Rosie loves the videos. Great for keeping a baby entertained. Dude, thank you so much. So lovely to see that you and your child are watching together. And Belfast, hopefully things are going well in Ireland. I hope to be over there someday soon, and enjoying another bit of the country I haven't explored. The Reavers that are in the bottom right-hand corner are jumping up into the top right-hand quadrant. They're going to be laying some fire down. That's a huge move. They are red grief, so they do get a lot of pluses to move. They're going to be shooting into that Chaos Sorcerer, trying to clear him off to deny some primary from Matt. He might be trying to do to Matt what Matt just did to him. That does seem like a big old move. But yeah,
definitely does that.
They are quick boys. They are speedy boys.
What we've seen from Gable this weekend, he's never out of it, is he? No matter how few units he's left with, he's always able to pull some tricks off and get back into the game.
Well, I'm here to tell you that this is really in Gabe's favor. This map, anything that's got 6 objectives on it is really in Gabe's favor. Because as long as he's got 1-2 units left, he can just keep playing the game. If this was a 5 objective mission, this would be heavily in Matt's favor. Matt can just chuck 10 beasts, completely insulate a middle objective, and then just play for 3. He can pick domination, and realistically, he's probably going to get it. And yeah, this would be a much worse game for Gabe. But as it is right now, Gabe's still just going to make plays. He's still going to sling units here, there, and everywhere, do what he can to mess with Soli's primary. Interesting to see the Raider is staying in combat. Oh no, he's not. He's going to be following that Raider back into the top left-hand quadrant as well, just to get some more engaged in all front points. Interesting that he has nothing now in the bottom left-hand quarter either. So another 2 for engage for Gabe, so he's going to go up to 11 there, and that's it. He's only going to get another 2 points in this turn, because he's already, while his stand is maxed, he's never going to get any more, and deploy scramblers is maxed. So he's going to be at 46 going into turn 5, and Matt gets any decent primary score, and I think he's won this game, especially if he can mess with Gabe's once again.
Yeah, we definitely know Matt's going to get some good primary there, because he's got those cultists on the top left, he's got those Nurglings on the top right, so that alone is just going to get him his 10 points. And it does look like those Beasts and Terminators are both controlling each center objective. So we're looking at Matt's probably more than likely going to max out the 45 for the primary. Yeah,
if Matt gets 15 at the top of turn 5, this game's over. I'm not sure how he makes up another 15 points. He's going to get another 2 for engage, possibly 3 for engage in his next turn, and possibly 1 more bring it down. So look, Matt will in all likelihood, he ends on 40 or 45 for primary. Grind them down should yield at least another 3 points, so it should end on 9. So it's being conservative, 49 for that. Engage in all fronts will yield a minimum of 2 more points as well. So 49 will go up to 50. So we'll go up to 49. We'll go up to plus. Sorry, lost my train of thought for a sec.
You're good, man. I'm just pointing out here the. Matt is actually playing super fast now, so we're seeing a lot of fast movements here. He's down to 9 minutes on the clock. So the only real concern here for Soli, I guess, would be time. But like you mentioned, he seems to have majority of things wrapped up, I'd say.
59. Yeah. He'll get 59 plus 9 for bring it down. So 59. So 66.
68.
So yeah, you're right. You're right. Absolutely right. 66. So 76 plus the battle ready. From 44.
battle ready.
I don't know how Gabe gets to 77 from 44 at the end of it. It's like, how does he put on? How does he put on 33 points in one turn? That would be something to see.
Not with what he's got going on, because he won't be able to get majority of the primary there unless he's got some tricks, which he more than likely does. He's obviously going to charge those witches there into the right hand side and try and get an extra 5 points there. Because the beast, no, he's actually not doing that. He's actually going into the Lord of Change.
He's gone into the Lord of Change. He wants to hold it back from. I think he's realized his primary.
He's gone for a wrap. So he's gone for a wrap.
Well, he's got Shardnets and Impalers. I think he's charged both. He wants to deny the fallbacks and hunker down on that objective with his OBSEC. The only issue there is there's a bunch of mortal wounds that can be done by Matt. He's not currently in coherency. Yep, now he is.
We're having a bit of a shuffle around.
And look, witches are actually quite hard to kill in combat for things like beasts. D6 attacks each. He can lightning fast them if he wants. If he has a CP, he probably doesn't want to.
And he also has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are not on the objective. So they will be the plebs, the cannon fodder that he will remove first.
Exactly.
So he's going to have to actually kill majority of that unit there to get them off the objective.
Yeah, they've also got a 4+ invulnerable save in combat and a 6-up feel no pain. So look, they're very unlikely to die. Matt will need to roll like 6s and 5s on his amount of attacks for his beasts. So yeah, very unlikely that they die. I think the Reapers, so the Reavers have shot into that Sorcerer in the top right. I don't think they've done anything. He's I think a Terminator Sorcerer, so yeah, 2+ save, no bueno. The Terminators on the left-hand side, they can move up. I think he's gonna max or get all the primary score he's gonna get in his start of turn 5. So he can very, very easily move up those Terminators, shoot into the Raider at the top, even double shoot, Veterans Longlaw and whatnot to kill them. And then he probably puts the Beast Downs in the bottom left-hand corner just to make sure he gets those engage on all fronts points. Oh, but man, dude, tight game. Really, really well played by both players. I thought Solly was in the driver's seat for the vast majority of this one, but Gabe just keeps making plays, keeps pulling it out of the bag. Every time you think he's out of plays, he's out of things. I come back and like inexplicably, like 9 Terminators are dead out of a unit of 10, and we're like, how did that even happen? And just really impressive.
It's very similar to what we saw with Luke yesterday. We thought Luke was in the driver's seat there driving that game, but we found out at the end, because the boys weren't updating scores, it was actually Gabe that was in control, and he got the big win there. So it's been a common thing. He's a bit of a Rocky Balboa. He's old Gabe. He gets on the ropes and lets you get stuck in, lets you think that you've got him, when bang, gets that strike late. But unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to get that KO punch in the last round here.
The Witches have actually pulled down a beast. There was one that was already wounded, possibly with only 1 or 2 wounds left. Interesting to note that he cannot actually tie down the beasts. It's only infantry. So he does need to get a wrap-off on them. I'm interested to see if he knows that. Otherwise, the beasts will just fall back, and those Terminators can just walk up from their position there and just shoot dead the Witches instead of going for the Raider. Or hell, they can do both. They can just do both because they're, they can just do both. Yeah.
Shout out to our good mate Michael Neighbour in the chat there that's very kindly pointed that out for us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that. They're like... I consider myself something of an expert on 40k, but there are just so many rules that you're just never going to get them all. You're never going to know everything that everything can do.
Not only that, there's 3 games constantly going all the time. You and I have been sitting here for 3 days now, commentating over 1, 2, 3, so it's 9, 18. We've had well over 20 games commentated in the last 3 days, so things can definitely get missed, overlooked, and that's just how things goes.
Just hitting the transition back over to. Yeah, just hitting the transition back over to the Harlequins game. I really want to see what the scoreline is here. Wow, Brian is up by 5 points. 45 being scored by Ben. Take us through that scoreline, mate.
All right, mate. So let's have a look. We'll start again as we have been every time with the man from the Imperium, Benjamin Regretti. He is on primary. He has maxed that out at 45. He has not got any points for Assassinate. While we stand, we fight. We have a max of 15, and he has achieved that. Engage on all fronts. He is sitting on 13. Brian, the man from the Normal Blokes himself, he is on 40 for primary. 15 for Linebreaker, 8 for Raised Banners, and 15 for Bring It Down. So we've seen a 5-point lead here by Brian, 78 to 73.
And I think these guys are done. I think that's all she wrote. And man, well played by Brian. I thought we were going to see some last turn, some final turn jank. Maybe they're still rolling dice, actually. Maybe they're still going. Maybe they're still doing stuff. But it looks like they're just talking out how the game went, where maybe it was won and lost.
They're talking it out, yeah.
But yeah, man, well freaking
done.
So
Assassinate seemed to be that different. You did point it out from the very beginning that you were very worried that Benjamin had taken Assassinate. You didn't think that he was able to get that. You said maybe 3. You thought he might be able to get 3, and you've proven that right there again, Adam.
So I thought 3 because I thought he would have to use the Choppy Troop Master at some point. And I thought the Chopper Troop Blaster would go in, clear 2 or 3 mortifiers or kill a Palace Grav Tank or something, and then be picked up in order to get a big swing on the primary for Brian. Like he'd do that, he'd give up the 3 points there to get a 5-point swing on the primary. I thought he might have to do that, but dude, doesn't even look like he had to do that. Every single one of his 5 characters had stayed in this game, entire game. Well done to Brian. Well done to Benjamin. You guys played. That was a really tight game. We didn't see a lot of what was going on, just like big stompy robots, and then lots of clowns dancing around. But yeah, well done to Brian. That is a good solid win.
Yeah, just touching on that assassinate there, Sean Sullivan in the chat mentioned much earlier that maybe it was a big brain play by Brian. By Ben there, because he was trying to restrict the actual ability and the combat prowess of those characters. Maybe having seen that, he might be able to stop Brian from using them. So that is a very good call. Spot
on. We're going to transition back to the Gabe and Sully game, our top table game. This is going to be so spicy, man. Yeah, Sully has just scored his top of turn 5. He's up to 70 points there, guys. It might be too much. A 23-point deficit to Gabe. And as long as Sully messes up that primary score for him, it denies him getting a big score on the primary, I can't see him catching him. Even if he gets to 15, Sully's still going to be up by 10. And it's just because he gave him that 5-point turn last one, which was actually enormous.
Yeah, that's it. You've mentioned a couple of times in the stream today, over the last couple of days, we've seen Gabe max out on that primary. That has been his two big plays. His 2 big guaranteed points have been maxing out on the primary and maxing out on the while we stand. And both of those have been able to be stopped by Sully himself. So he's taking away the points that Gabe has expected to get. So that is a very good play there by Sully. Hats off to him.
Very impressive play. Very impressive play by Gabe as well. Like I thought he was in the dumps. I thought he was down. I thought he might be hanging his head low because he was getting corralled and locked up. But then he just keep breaking out. He's like pulling more units out. He's always got more to play the game with. I'm really impressed. His list looks pretty average on paper, but man, with how many racks you can get for so cheap, you just keep having units to play the primary every single turn. Really, really, really impressive.
Yeah, definitely. So both these boys obviously still have their battle ready points to be totaled in here. So Sully is actually on an 80 there. So that's pretty high. That's a massive big deal, knowing that Liam Hackett is right on his toes.
Yeah, exactly right. And on top of this, so the grindman down is going to yield some more points as he's engaged in all fronts for sure. It's just whether or not he gets bring it down from the radar or not is pretty much remains to be determined. I know he did have a shuffle of his Terminators. He moved one Terminator back to be on the bottom objective. I believe that was one of his Reaper autocannons, so that he could move up one of the Stormbolter guys to get him in range also. This is very close to the end of this game. This is the top of turn 5 for Matt. Looking, he's got 5 minutes left on his scoreboard. I'm not sure it actually matters. I think they're both going to get a nice, comfortable 5 turns in. The Sorcerer, having scored all his primary, is moving up in order to charge these Reapers. He's going to give them a smite. He's going to give them a charge. Clears those off. That's denying some points for engaging all fronts. Looks like he's gotten a smite off.
So one of the reasons we may have seen that Lord of Change do a bit of a U-bolt and head away from that Raider is that the points of that while we stand does not actually affect Sully's standings whatsoever.
Exactly.
So there is actually no reason for him to be actually chasing those 5 points. Whether or not Gabe gets those 5 points is no detrimental to him, because we're not playing for a points differential. We're actually paying for just a total in battle points.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's stayed in combat now. He's stayed in combat with the lock. I think he's just smiting in there, doing some damage. He's obviously in combat with a character. He wants to smite them down. He's killed one of the Reavers. He wants to smite into those combats, get as much damage as he can done in order to get a couple of kills for another 3 on the grind them down. He's obviously already going to be getting 2 points for engaging all fronts. I'm surprised I didn't see the Beast move in advance up into the top quadrant in order to get 3 on the engage. Because, like I said, yeah, you said it perfectly. Liam is hot on his heels. If Sully drops a game, Liam will 100% leap him. That's just a no bueno. He does not want that to happen.
Well, based on the fact that I think that Chaos Cultist would still be in the top left-hand side of the building, so I think that is what would have got 3 for engage on all fronts.
Very possibly, yeah, if they are still alive. Honestly, we've never heard of them. We don't even know if they're actually there or they exist. They exist.
You know who has heard of them? Too. The Scourges. The Scourges have definitely heard of them.
The Scourges could be under the overhang there.
Scourges haven't heard of Terminators, but they've definitely heard of those cultists.
Yeah, exactly right. A bunch of wounds have been done on that Raider. He is shooting all of his Terminators in there. Looks like he's done another 3 wounds, another 2 wounds. Will he pull it down? Will it be destroyed? Matt playing the clock very closely as well, hitting it back and forth, hitting it back onto himself right now. He's probably going to throw a crack grenade into the Reavers from the champ. Oh no, he's playing his 2 CP. He is shooting again. He's bottomed out on CP. He has no more left. It's actually pretty impressive that he's only really used CP to engage the Terminators.
Double shoot, really.
Yeah, or to auto charge. That's all he's really done with his CP this entire game. I haven't seen him throw any or move any down for any other play. I suppose that's the power in this list, though, isn't it? It doesn't need any other CP.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. He's got independent units that work independently by themselves. He's got a lot of smites going on. It's really just those Terminators that he's using for all the heavy lifting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think the Raider might have been picked up. We'll wait and see. It's getting very tight, very close on the board. Matt should easily be able to finish off his turn. Are they talking on Matt's clock?
Looks like they are.
Looks like they are talking on Matt's clock. That's no big deal, as long as they're happy to do it. 4 shots from the Reaper autocannon coming through now. Only got 1 hit, only got 1 wound. A bit rough. 1 more save coming in. I don't think he's going to kill that Raider. But it's only 1 point gone begging. So I'm of the opinion that's all she wrote. For Matt, we're going into the combat phase now. We should see that Sorcerer charge.
The Raider has been removed there.
The Raider has been removed. Fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah, it definitely has.
It's going to be denying some engagement off front. It's going to be denying and getting some bring it down points for Matt as well. Going to be charged. Only charge we're going to see here is probably that Sorcerer into the Reavers.
Also get some grind 'em down points as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, another point for grind 'em down, possibly. I can't really see Gabe getting like 3 kills in his turn. So, yeah, interesting one there.
Yeah, no, definitely not. There's not really a lot for so let's have a bit of a wrap up on Gabe's point. So obviously he can attempt to get some more primaries. So he's probably going to get 5 on the right hand side. He could move that Raider up and get 10. So it's looking very likely that he's going to get a sorry, no, he's already not on that. So it's looking like he's going to get a 5-point play there for the primary. So he's going up to 25 points. The while we stand is capped out at 5 already. Engaged on all fronts. So at the beginning of his turn, he will have the last final turn. So he'll be able to have a bit of a play there. No, sorry. So with the new FAQ changes, I've forgotten it already. He's able to get on all those objectives, isn't he? So we could definitely see a 15-point play there. So that's going to go up to a 35 points on the primary. Engage on all fronts. He's going to be able to get a 2 for that, I think. Let's see how we go. That Raider's going to have to do a bit of work getting around the table. Well, deploy scramblers is done.
So you mean the Reaper? Because, all the Raiders are gone now.
Yeah, sorry, the Reaper, on the bottom right-hand side there.
Looks like one more of the beasts has been picked up. It's actually pretty important that Soli has something in combat with the Witches in the start of their turn, so they can't Voltron out and get because they can move in advance, and with whatever combat drugs they might have and Red Grief, they can be super, super fast. And them being able to sling onto the beast on the left-hand side will lock him down another objective, and I'm assuming he's got a character or 2 engaged with the lock that will fall back onto that objective also. We got 10 minutes left in this round, or just above 10 minutes left. Interested to see if anything else gets picked up. Obviously, the Sorcerer, the Terminator armor, has failed to charge into the Reavers, which is kind of a pain in the ass for Sully. That's just going to be some points he's going to be able to get. He's going to be able to jump over the Sorcerer, sit on that objective, and I am expecting Gabe to get 15 for his
Yeah, so that's smite that we saw from that Sorcerer in the top right side. We had a bit of a back came back to bite him in the butt there because one of them has been removed, and that's what's caused him to fail the charge.
But what a pain. Got the attacks back from the Witches going into the Beast. He has piled into the Beast. If I was not in base-to-base contact with that Beast, I would not be piling into him. You do not need to kill that Beast for any reason, my man. It's not a big deal at all. All you need to do is make sure you get that 15 on primary and get some engaged or front points. Because right now, there's no other scoring you can do. While we stand is capped.
The only reason to possibly kill that Beast is, like you mentioned, he might be able to daisy chain that one unit across both objectives. So that could be the reason why he wants to kill it. But like you said, that would be it.
Yeah. Real interesting game here by Gabe. Real interesting game here by Soli. I think Soli has won this game. I can't see any way that Gabe gets 23 points. So, 23 points in his turn. He's going to get 15, but he's only going to be able to get a max of another 3 on engaging all fronts. So he's going to get a max of 18 points. So, but Soli's still going to get 2 for, he's going to get 1 for Bring It Down. He's going to get at least 2 more for Engage, and that's whether or not he gets Grind Them Down, I suppose, is the big swing there. So, man, Gabe's going to catch him. Gabe's going to get he's going to get 15 for Primary, and he's going to get at least 2 for Engage, possibly 3 for Engage. If he gets 3 for Engage, he's going to get another 18 points. It's going to end him up on, so what's that? That is 55, 65. It's going to end him on 75 points. But I'm of the opinion Soli is very likely to get 2 for Engage, 1 more for Bring It Down. Actually, no, 75 points. He could win. Can he win?
Well,
No, I don't think he
Anvil
can.
and
Sorry, I'm doing it wrong.
Anvil 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the chat has pointed out. So game only has 18 points left. So Matt wins by 5. So
By
that's
5
his
minimum.
prediction
That's
there.
right.
So
Yeah. He only has, for some reason, I thought he just had 28 points left. But yeah, he only has 18 points left, absolute maximum. And that's the issue with the Wild West Stands and the Deploy Scramblers. You can score them and they're points in the bank when you can keep them safe. But the Deploy Scramblers actually put a hard cap on the end score for what Gabe is able to do. And of course, Matt putting that early investment, throwing away resources to get down 2 of those Reapers is actually what's going to end up winning him this game. Because had he had all Reapers, Gabe would win. He would actually just win.
So there's a big play. Solly's obviously recognised that. He knows that, and again, like Dippy pointed out earlier, that could be the benefit of watching some of these games live and going back during the day and going home to your hotel when you're scheming for the next day, making sure you know what's going on. He probably knew that Gabe was going to take that Wild West Downwind fight because he has taken it every single game. And he was able to send those keepers in early. He was able to drop those Terminators down to start shooting those units. And he's been able to cripple him down. So effectively just taking 10 points straight away from Gabe.
Exactly right. We've seen 4 points added for Mr. Morrisoli. He is in every quadrant of the table for another 3 on engagement front, and he's got 1 more for Bring It Down, sitting on 74 points out of Gabe's reach. Whether or not he gets another 3 on Grind Them Down remains to be seen. He could be ending up on 84 or 87. We will see. But yeah, from 47 points, Gabe really doesn't have any way to get back into it. He's definitely going to score a 15 on his primary. He's going to jump those Reavers up into the top right-hand corner. He's going to possibly fall back those witches. I'm not quite sure if it matters though. It's possible he's already sitting on 15 because, of course, no. If it all depends if Solly has something in the top left-hand corner. Really, if Solly has something in the top left-hand corner, Gabe needs to get Solly off 1 for a 15. If he doesn't have anything there, Gabe's already got it by holding 3. E.g., moves the Reaper onto the bottom right-hand corner, Witches on the center right, and the Reavers on the top right. Not much really need to go to any other facets of this game now. The scoring is pretty much already done. Still, it's a lot more interesting than it used to be because I wouldn't even have played this turn. Like Gabe wouldn't have gotten to move any models, and this thing would have just been like, oh yeah, I move over there, get engaged, let's shake hands and move on.
Yeah, I would say that you and I are the main benefactor of the turn 5 changes.
Exactly,
it's
right.
letting us keeping the excitement going as long as we possibly can.
Yeah, 111 people watching. 112. Thank you so much, guys. Feel free to give us a shout out. We're actually only going to have a small half-hour lunch break between this game and the next one, so you can expect us to be back literally 35, 40 minutes from now. We'll be back live with our championship round to decide the podium of this 8-round slobber knocker of an event. Nick, one more, baby. You've got one more in you?
I definitely do, mate. I couldn't leave it, mate. I'm too excited. I'm excited to see if Liam can get the top table or if Solly can hold him off, because obviously they won't be playing each other because they have already played each other. But is Solly undefeated? As George G has mentioned out, the immortal man, the beast, the mad dog, Liam Hackett. He is hot on his tails. If someone can dethrone Solly for him, if he can chuck some sleepers under the wheels of the Solly Express and derail that, he will be able to leapfrog him and do the Stephen Bradbury and just get straight in there.
Dude, absolutely right. Man, such a good game by Solly, this one. Such a good game by Gabe. Another absolute pleasure, absolute honor to call this one and bring it to you guys. Quick message from a couple of our sponsors. I'm just going to reel them off without doing the spiels. We are sponsored for this event by Knights of Dice. They are one of the best MDF terrain producers in the world. Smoky Barbecue Pastures. They provided us with a nice, lovely smoky barbecue lunch yesterday, which was greatly appreciated. BCP and the incredible assistance of Joshua Diffie has made this stream possible. As you can see, our scorecard is powered by Best Coast Pairings. They have built that just for this stream. This is the launching pad of the live scoring built into BCP, and below that, the live round timer as well that has stayed up throughout every single one of our games so far. Thank you so much, BCP. Dragon's Lair is a local store in Adelaide that support and have added a swathe of price support to this event, and very much grateful for their contributions. And lastly, the Normal Blokes. Wonderful podcast out of Brisbane, Australia. Please tune in, find them wherever you find podcasts in the big wide world. A wonderful bunch of guys, very supportive, very much community-focused men, and a couple of them in the top 10 right now, so we'll see if any of them can snag a podium. Final scores should be coming in, mate. Read them off as they get priced up.
Yeah, no worries at all. So we've just seen a big handshake there from the boys. Obviously a tense game, which is great to see. So Matt Morrisoli, he is done with his scores. He is on 74. We are not going to see that change at all, but we will be able to. Very thank you again to BCP. We were able to see these scores bump up and keep the excitement levels going. So currently, Gabe is on 54. Deploy Scramblers is obviously done What else have we got here? So Code of Combat is
That is
written
actually
down now.
it's while we stand we fight. There's actually
So
accidentally tapped
so that
it.
should be 5 for While We Stand. They've obviously done a bit of a playing. That's obviously one of the side effects of this live scoring system we can see, but that is what is supplying all of the excitement here. Engage on all fronts. He's almost capped that out at 14 there. So there we go. We've got our 5 back, so that gets him up to 59.
And
so primary-wise, I was expecting another 5 points there, but he obviously was only able to get a 10-point turn rather than a 15-point turn.
So the scourges in the top, the scourges in the top left have to be dead then, correct?
Yeah, they must be. So the top left-hand side, they must be gone. But I was thinking the top right-hand side, the very bottom, and the middle. So I was expecting that Gabe was actually holding all 3 objectives on the right-hand side of the table.
Yeah, which means that Solly's holding all 3 on the left-hand side, doesn't it? E.g., there's cultists or nurglings in the top left-hand corner.
Yes, he must be. The cultist must be there.
So
shout out, we've just had Scary join us in the chat there.
The scarred one. Hello, Scary. Thanks for joining us, mate. Hopefully you can join us for the last round as well. But unfortunately, we've just seen your boys, the Drakari, go down in a magnificent game. Gabe has been playing out of his freaking skin to get work done. Maybe there is some dice being rolled just to decide whether or not he gets a 15 or a 10 on the primary. Because I suppose it's not really much relevant apart from that. I mean, he doesn't need to kill the beast for any reason, does he?
It won't make any difference to Solly's score, but obviously it will make a difference to Gabe's score.
Yeah. I got to assume that means there are scourges still left on the top left-hand corner. There would be no other reason than to roll dice.
Yeah, well, Chelsea has come on and she has pointed out there are some winged models and nurglings behind the orange and grey building.
So it's shredders into nurglings. Hence, that was why Sol was rolling 2 dice at a time. Nah, don't think he's killed him. 2 shredders has not been enough to kill 3 nurglings over like 2 or 3 shooting phases. Bit of a shame. Bit of a shame there, but nurglings being what they are just so good. There's a handshake. That is all she wrote, guys. It will be the final scores of 84 to 70, a 14-point win to Matt Morrisoli, still undefeated after 7 rounds of 40k. And he is what? So he is 9-1 after 10 games of 40k, having dropped 1 game with Liam Hackett in the Masters. Yeah, phenomenal. Very well done to him.
Yeah, that's it. So a 14-point win there to Solly.
Let's have a quick look at our leaderboard. We'll give you a couple of minutes on the leaderboard or a minute or 2, and then we will be out of here to rest up for this final round. We're going to be coming home strong, guys. It'll be a half-hour break or maybe a 35 to 40-minute break, depending on how long these guys take to deploy, and we will join you back for the last round. Read out our leaderboard, mate. Where are people sitting? Naturally, we're assuming Matt's about to have his scores go in, so he'll be in first place.
Yeah, that's it. So Matt is obviously, as we've mentioned, he is a Solly Express. He is chugging along to championship land, and he is currently sitting in first place. We have him on 4th there, but that is only because they haven't quite finished entering their scores. He is our only undefeated player. So knowing that, who do we have sitting in second there, Adam?
It'll be Liam Hackett for sure, and then coming in third is Brian Lakeland. Just look at that battle points by Liam. Look, behold. Absolutely ridiculous. He's played 7 games of 40k, and he's only dropped 44 points out of 7 games. He's got a bunch of...
The list that he is in charge of there, it's not like an easy list either. So it is a very taxing list. So he has actually played an unbelievably high skill level over this weekend.
Yeah. We've got Brian Lakeland coming in on 3rd place. He will be playing Mr. Matt Morrisoli on the top table, more than likely, unless there's any other scores to be added up. We're going to see Liam Hackett playing his compatriot from the Normal Blokes. He'll be playing down into Chris Borgiano. We'll see how that is.
That's interesting. We haven't seen Chris. We haven't seen Chris yet on the string, so that'll be good to have someone new on there. He has slowly gone unnoticed and is there at the top cream of the pile.
Very much a quiet achiever. Who's sitting in 5th place? Who is that handsome young man?
Oh, the man of the people. That is what we wanted to see. The chat is probably going to crash. It is very likely that we do not have the internet provided for Stuart Trainer and his family to come in here, but hopefully we all get on board the Stu train.
Yeah, Stewie Trainer sitting 6-1 right now, going into the last round, only losing in the first round and then just racking up win after win after win. He's going to be playing down into Frank DiMaria, playing Necrons. That should be an interesting one. That'll be our 3 games into the last round. It'll be Matt Morrisoli versus Brian Lakeland, Liam Hackett versus Chris Borgiano, and Stuart Trainer versus Frank DiMaria. So please join us for that. We're going to sign off from now, take our rest. I'm going to get something to eat. Hope to see you guys soon, and spread the word. Last game coming up from this, last 3 tables we'll be able to show you guys, but God, it's just so exciting, man. It's going to be such a close finish.
All right, thank you very much.